find a seat, please? So we're late as it is. Could you find a seat, please? Quiet, please. Quiet, please. Can we close those doors? Thank you. Stern works. Madam Clerk, could you take the roll?
Vice Mayor Rich,
Present.
Commissioner Clark,
Present.
Commissioner Collins,
Here.
Commissioner Giobi,
Present.
Commissioner Reed.
Here.
We will now have the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Won't you join me in
I'm
prayer?
sorry, it's Mr. James Hart from
Yeah.
the Stuart Alliance.
Or you can call me Jim. Let's pray. Father, thank you for this evening and all of those that are gathered here tonight to take interest in what is going on in our beautiful city of Stuart. Lord, in your word, in 1 Timothy chapter 2, you said that you desire that in every place the men should pray, lifting holy hands without anger or quarreling, and to pray for those who are in authority, those who've been placed in leadership over us. And so, Lord, I don't see that as a suggestion. I see that more as a command that we do that. And so we're here tonight, Lord, to pray for these, especially these that have just recently been elected and placed in leadership. Lord, we just ask you to pour out your blessing on each one. I pray for their families, Lord, for spouses and children, Lord God, that you would just surround them with your love and care and protection. And in a world in which we live today where there's so much animosity and just not pleasant circumstances. So Lord, we ask that this city would be a place of peace, a place where people love one another and care for one another and reflect the glory of God into their lives and their community, God. And I pray for wisdom tonight for all the decisions that will be made and the comments that will be made from this podium this evening, Lord, that it would be glorifying to you and edifying to one another, and that, God, you would guide and direct for your perfect plan and will for this city. And we thank you in advance for all you're going to do in Jesus' name. Amen.
Could you lead us in the pledge, Jim?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now, and the reason I wore a coat and tie to this meeting, we have two new commissioners to take the oath of office.
For the record, City Attorney Lee Baggett, and I'll be administering the oaths for our new commissioners. So I'll start with Commissioner Laura Giobi. If you'd please stand and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support, honor, protect, and defend
that I will support, honor, protect, and defend
the Constitution and government
the Constitution and government
of the United States and the state of Florida,
of the United States and the city of Stuart,
in the state of Florida.
and the state of Florida.
That
Well, you said city.
we're
so-
going to get there. That I am duly qualified to hold office
That I am duly qualified to hold office
under the Constitution of the state of Florida
under the Constitution of the state of Florida
and under the charter of the city of Stuart,
and under the charter of the city of Stuart,
and that I will well and faithfully perform
that I will well and faithfully perform
the duties of City of Stuart Commissioner,
the duties of the city of Stuart Commissioner,
on which I am now about to enter, so help me God.
on which I'm about to enter, so help me God.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We doing pictures now?
Did she take pictures with her friends?
My understanding, picture time for that.
Trustee has been,
Why don't we finish?
Are we going to do them both? All right, okay. Hey, Commissioner Sean Reed, it's your turn. You're already standing with the right hand. All right.
It's ready.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support, honor, protect, and defend
that I will support, honor, protect, and defend
the Constitution and government
the Constitution and government
of the United States and the state of Florida,
and the United States and the state of Florida,
that I am duly qualified to hold office
that I am duly qualified to hold office
under the Constitution of the State of Florida,
under the Constitution of the State of Florida,
and under the Charter of the City of Stuart,
and under the Charter of the City of Stuart,
and that I will well and faithfully perform
and that I will well and faithfully perform
the duties of City of Stuart Commissioner,
the duties of City of Stuart Commissioner,
on which I am now about to enter, so help me God.
on which I am about to enter, so help me God.
Go walking around, go down there,
I
take
don't know,
pictures.
Campbell didn't give me a handshake.
Oh,
If you want to bring your photo up and get a nice picture here. Come on, Mom. They brought them all out. We might as well do it.
Yeah, come on, Mom.
Do you want to put your arm out like your grandma's here or something? Sean, you want to hold your arm like this for your grandma? You can post her in later. Like,
Ready?
this is the day. She's been out. I think she's been sick. I think she's
One's for me, one's for Sean. It doesn't matter.
it's actually
Sean, hold your flowers. Sean, hold the flower
She
with your
wanted you to
mom.
hold your flowers.
With your mom.
Give them to
Take
your
one
mom.
more. Do it.
One more.
Yeah.
Where's Jim? Jim, do you leave? Come back out, Jim. One more.
Three. Great. One, two, three.
And I want to thank everyone for coming today and sharing this with Sean and I. And I want to thank the citizens and the voters in the city of Stuart. Done it, we're making a change, going in a different direction. Thank you.
Also, Eileen Vargas is here.
Commissioner-elect.
So we have commissioner comments now. And Commissioner Giobbe, I was happy to see you gain your office because I am no longer the oldest commissioner.
Absolutely true.
So in deference to your age, you may speak first this evening.
Okay. Well, I know it's only a number, and I'm not embarrassed to say it. I'm 74 years old. And I think I actually had already said I wanted to thank everyone, everyone who voted, everyone who supported me. There are so many people who made this happen, and I thank you very much. And now let's move on forward to business.
Okay, very succinct. Now, Commissioner Reed, do you have any comments to
I
share
do.
with us?
I made a speech for tonight, so today my dad would have been 63 today, so it's a little bittersweet. He wasn't able to be here to celebrate with us. But first and foremost, I want to extend my deepest gratitude to all my constituents, Your support and trust and belief in the vision that we had have brought us to this moment. I'm both honored and excited to serve as your next commissioner in the city of Stuart. I also want to take a moment to thank my family, my friends that are here, and all of our employees and parents at Reed Childcare for their support along this journey as well. All of their encouragement and dedication have been the foundation of this journey in the city of Stuart. And I'd like to also express my gratitude to my fellow candidates, whether it's in the city and the county, and everyone that participated in this process. I think your engagement is a testimony to the city of Stuart and Martin County, and I think it's the drive in our community. To the voters, thank you for entrusting me with this responsibility. Your voices have been heard. This victory is not just mine, but it's a shared triumph of all of us who are invested in the future of this county. Let's remember that this victory is a starting point. It's the beginning of a new chapter, and I'm excited about what we can achieve together and look forward to getting to work. Thank you once again for your support and confidence. Commissioner Reed.
So as long as we're hearing from our newly elected commissioner, I would like to acknowledge the presence of Commissioner-elect for Martin County, and that is Eileen Vargas has joined us this evening. Congratulations, Ms. Vargas. Commissioner Clark, do you have any comments this evening?
Yes, since we're recognizing, I'd like to recognize our former mayor, whose seat you're taking right now as interim, and as the vice mayor, Becky Bruner. Congratulations for your time that you've worked with our city commission. We really appreciate you. And our new commissioners, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for whatever you did. You know what you did. You know the miles and the shoes, 4 pairs of shoes, Sean?
Yeah, 4 pairs, by the way.
So, it's just, this is a small town, and Martin County is always there. Martin County is bigger than we are, but we're just wanting to make sure that we keep Stuart vibrant, not overdeveloped, but we just want to make sure that we work and we do what we need to do to make sure that our city of Stuart stays really vibrant. So I think that that's important, and your input is going to be a big part of that, and we appreciate that. We just appreciate the fact that you want to serve. So many people criticize when you serve, and you'll get some of that too, but we really appreciate it. We really appreciate that.
Thank you.
And Commissioner-elect Vargas, thank you for making your first official trip right here to the city of Stuart. We appreciate that. Thank you so much. I don't really have anything else. I think we don't have a big agenda, but it's an important agenda. And I think Commissioner Sean Reed said it best. Involvement is important, and so we'll see people want to be involved, and they're here to give their opinions and to be involved with whatever the city is interested in making the decision-making on. So we're just so happy that everybody is here tonight to participate with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Collins?
Yes. So I'd also like to say congratulations. It was interesting to watch you two from afar and hear from others that you knocked on their door and just how busy you both were. I'm sure with a tired knee.
Won't help me.
It really speaks to when you reach somebody's door, it shows how driven you are to do a good job and how much you care. And there's no amount of political advertising that can touch that. And the city's unique in that we have just enough time to reach those doors personally and extend our hand. And I am thankful for both of you because you have incredibly unique insight from a customer base, marketing, and data. Like, you have touched each one of those people, had conversations with them, so I'm really looking forward to your input in our discussions about whatever we'll talk about through the lens of how the people who live here and vote feel. So very thankful for you guys.
Thank you.
Yes. Also, Commissioner-elect Vargas, what an honor. Absolutely. I had a few points I wanted to make, and the main one was that city and county voters, the electorate, has spoken quite clearly. Where I can easily admit that I only won by 94, 95 votes, there was a wide spread in a lot of these races that was undeniable. And so if anybody thought that maybe I was a fluke in my race, there's no confusion now how the voters of Martin County and the city of Stuart feel across a pretty broad range of issues. Preserving our green space, keeping our small town charm, slower growth that actually takes into account traffic holistically and not just in a silo, being more proactive about protecting our estuary from discharges. It seemed like every campaign mailer I got across the board, they were all greenies that felt this way. But I intend, as much as it's within my capacity as one of 5, to actually deliver on that for the time that I have here. And I have expectation that all of us will be. So, for now, I'd like to reserve the rest of my comments till after the city manager's comments, if you would permit it, because I wanted to do a little bit of business before we get into the actual agenda, if you'll allow it. If not, I can do it.
Oh, yeah, I think you should complete your comments now.
Absolutely, I will. So there are 2 major points of business then that I would like to discuss just briefly before we get into our agenda, which thankfully is light. The first is a zoning in progress. So 2 years ago, when I was elected, we went into a zoning in progress that I personally feel accomplished little to nothing. And I would like to offer up and have an ask that we potentially move into a new round of zoning in progress, really to tackle 3 issues. And there will most likely be more, assuming, but one, what I would call double dipping of density within commercial zoning, that I could characterize this by, you see a commercial project and then 300 or 400 apartments next to it, right? And the way it works is you can calculate your residential density by the entire parcel of land, even if it has a commercial project on it. This is one of those things I'd like to look at. Half units. In my opinion, half units, and if you're not aware of what this is, forgive me, but the removal of half units from our code, where we basically can double our density instantly with some of these projects. And then finally, and slightly more broadly, I would like to revisit what I would call the Dwani plan era of mixed use, and again, sort of pointing to the first thing I said, mixed use and giving more density, kind of revisiting the allowances of residential density for apartments and multifamily that we give, as it did sit in an era of time when the downtown was a ghost town, and I would offer up that potentially we've accomplished what we were after, that we are now bustling and busy, and potentially it might be an opportunity to revisit this and look at going back to pre-Dwani density allowances within conditional use PUDs. So,
If I can just chime in, as far as the
Absolutely.
code is concerned, the way
Yes.
a zoning in progress will work is that we'll actually bring back an agenda item for the commission
Yep.
at the September 9th meeting. However, at such time as the agenda item is ready to move forward and the city publishes it, which could be Wednesday of next week or Thursday of next week, it effectively goes into effect on the day that we do the notice, and then it gets ratified at the meeting. The only direction I need from you, obviously I'll need a vote from the commission, but I
Yes.
also need direction. The last time we did the zoning in progress, it was for any projects that had multifamily housing in them.
Yes.
And I don't know, when you said the Dwani.
I would say the scope would be basically anything that includes residential, safe, single family. because if it has any multifamily component,
Okay, but that's what I was wondering, but when you said Dwani, that would be commercial as well, so I didn't know.
but
if it
also
was-
commercial, within commercial zoning, there's the residential component.
Right, but if it, just anything that includes a residential component, or is it
Or
all
could.
commercial too?
Basically, anything other than single family, I would
Okay,
say.
that's clarified.
So that would be, first thing, I don't know if it's appropriate to ask for a motion for that. Is that what you would like
Yeah,
to
you
get
need
some?
it, well, you'd make the motion and be looking
Okay,
for
so
a
I would like
second.
to make a motion that we.
I don't think we make a motion now.
We can.
I mean, you
we
can
absolutely can.
do it, yeah, during the commissioner comments.
I'll second it.
So,
Yeah, I would like to make a motion that we move into a zoning in progress, effective
It'll be come back for September 9th.
under the purpose of visiting specifically, to give you just, scope for why, commercial zoning, double dipping, I don't know what you'd call it, half units, and revisiting conditional use PUD density allowances.
I got your comments.
So motion and a second. Are you going to read that out?
I just want to make sure if Merritt could read that back, so we make sure we have all of the pieces in that zip.
I can do that. My computer
Do you need
is
a
spinning
duration
right
of
now,
time
so I
initially, or we're
jotted
assuming 3
down.
months until otherwise?
It's automatic
Yeah.
in statute
Got it.
or code. I can read it. It's a motion for zoning in progress to address 3 issues. The double dipping of commercial zoning, which relates to the calculations of commercial zoning and density calculations where you have a full density on the property and allow a commercial building. The half units, as well as revisiting the Dwani plan area related to mixed use and now also commercial, and therefore it will be related to receiving plans for any projects other than single family.
Citywide,
Right.
correct, yeah.
Yep.
So we have, you're going to read out the motion?
any comments or questions regarding?
No, I think we can go right to the vote.
Last time we had the zoning
You can
progress,
second
it
it.
was a 6-month thing. Well, we'll wait until we get the agenda
So
item.
you would need a vote, but after taking public comment.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a little waylaid here with our, well, we do have a motion and a second, so is there any public comment on this issue? Ms. McBride?
I think it's Helen McBride from Mingo Avenue. I think it's a grand idea. Got our new commissioners in. I know, I'm listening to a lot of people. We want to keep our hometown like our hometown. And we need to address this whole thing. I was here back in the Dwani days. We were a ghost town, and there's 3,000, maybe 4,000 people living in the city of Stuart. But like even with my neighbors sitting next to me in that, there's another thing on the agenda I didn't know about. We got to stop and just take a couple of steps back and a deep breath and relook at everything. So thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Helen.
Helen, you need to fill out a green card, please.
That item.
Yeah.
Mayor Rich.
Do we have any cards on?
He's got it.
Sean wants to address Mayor Rich.
Let's
Okay.
vote.
Yeah, and then
Okay, Commissioner Reed?
yeah, after this vote, I want to address something as well. But for another,
Well, you've had your opportunity for comment, so.
No, his is for an address to something else.
Correct.
Now we're taking the vote.
All right, let's focus.
No, I'm waiting to see if this woman wishes to speak to this issue.
You can speak first.
You can fill it out afterwards.
Yeah.
Because I got one more thing, too.
Need some order here.
Hi, my name is Cynthia Lucas, and I know all about Andre Dwani because that was the 750 which we defeated in Martin County. Andre Dwani is up in Vero now, trying to ruin that town. I'm not a fan of his. I don't believe in the Earth Charter, which is on your website. I think that's incredible. That comes from the UN. The UN. Everybody should go and look on the website. We have a town here, a little town. I've been here a long time. What happened? So I'd like to think about that. I think everybody should educate themselves about where it came, and Chris is right. And I just want to applaud the new commissioners and feel bad for the ones that didn't win. But We're moving in a new direction, and I'm so proud. Thank you. Thank you. God bless.
Call the roll.
No? Any comments? Commissioner Clark, do you have any other additional comments or questions?
I have something.
Vote on this matter.
I didn't vote.
Yes, you do?
I didn't run. It's okay.
Okay, I'd like to make a comment. I think Commissioner Collins is selling us a little short because 2 years ago when we put the zip in progress,
Doesn't happen.
look what happened. The city in 2022 approved 60 new units that are on Central Parkway. In 2023, we received no applications, and we approved no units. So far in 2024, and I can pretty much guarantee you it'll be true to the end of this year, we received no applications, and we approved no units. So that's kind of the point of a zoning in progress halt. So I don't, it seems redundant, but if that's the will of the commission, then so be it. I think removing the Dwani overlay is a separate issue, and I would just, Mr. Mortel, if we could deal, if those could be two separate issues, or?
Well, the zoning in progress will come into play, and then during it, there'll be a 90-day time when we have workshops and discussions,
Okay.
and so you guys will be addressing codes. And to say you're removing the Dwani overlay, you'll be effectively adopting whatever code you want. Any code you adopt effectively changes the Dwani overlay anyway. So it's not really the Dwani overlay as a code right now, and it just will depend on what you guys do as you go forward.
But yeah, as someone who moved here with my family in 1980, and downtown was completely dead. I mean, nobody went downtown for any reason. And to now see the considerable success we've had in the envy, well, we're the best small coastal town in the United States. And what? Yeah. We should just think carefully about making changes
And this-
that may
And
threaten
this
that
motion
prospect.
is not to actually make any changes.
Right,
to
I
the-
understand.
right.
Okay.
If I can say one more thing.
Sure.
From me personally, the major concern is that sort of this urban core type mixed-use development where you see so much density has now sprawled out onto US 1 and Canner is kind of the main rationale for what I'm saying. If to give context, if you may not know what we're talking about. That was all.
Madam Clerk, will you take
Roll call.
roll call?
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Collins?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Giobi?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rich?
Yes.
And second comment
Okay.
is Brightline. So this will be a contentious issue, I'm sure. I had requested last meeting, not to get too personal, but my dad was actually in the ICU that day, and I had asked if we could postpone the discussion and vote for Brightline because he was going into surgery at North, and I really wanted to have input on that meeting, and I was quite disappointed that we couldn't wait one more meeting to have those conversations because Brightline is a really big deal and will affect this town for a very long time. So my hope was that we could have all of us here to hash it out and try to have the best deal possible for residents because we would be putting them on the hook for the tab. But things happen for a reason, and nothing's an accident. So for me personally, at this point in reviewing this, Brightline is a terrible deal for taxpayers. It is a deal that has changed, and it went from the county paying, $15 million, half the station, and Brightline paying for its half of the station, to now the city has taken the other half of the station with the county, and Brightline's off the hook. And so as far as I can tell, and not just myself, and talking to many residents that don't feel like they've really been able to voice how they feel about this, it doesn't really make sense to them that a private company would get basically a free land lease of taxpayer land. And a private company that has billions in bonding should have this little town fund its 30, 40, $50 million station. It's crazy when the majority of people are just trying to survive right now. So I would like to make another motion. And before I do that, I am fully aware, and I'm going to quote this because it's from our comp plan, that the city shall continue to encourage the expansion of tri-rail, passenger rail service, bus service, and other multimodal forms of transportation with a particular emphasis on developing downtown Stuart as a transportation hub. That's in our comp plan. What is not in our comp plan is that we should all be paying for that. My perception of that in the comp plan is if we need to make some alterations and setbacks or make it more feasible for them, we should, but certainly not that we should be giving up our land and being on the hook for 30 and 45 million. Because remember, city taxpayers are also county taxpayers, so we are paying twice, right? Yes. So again, in my opinion, this is a bad deal. But it is not something that any of us, in my opinion, should be trying to amend because this is an internal staff. This is between the staff and the county. I don't think we should be on the fly on the dais trying to amend the agreements that came forth last time. So I want to do something that's a little bit out of the box, and I would like to motion to rescind the previous two agreements that we entered into last time. Resolution number 41, 2024, resolution authorizing the mayor to sign an amended interlocal agreement with Martin County. And also, I guess a third would be rescinding the previous interlocal agreement because that was an updated one. And rescinding resolution number 52, 2024, resolution authorizing the city to enter a long-term lease and development agreement with Brightline Trains LLC. And I believe we should be notifying the county administrator that, because I don't know if this is going to be on their agenda tomorrow, but before that happens, or if it's the next meeting, I think it's incredibly important that they know that this is still being hashed out by the city and that whatever they vote on is not formalized if we potentially vote it down to terminate it. So with that, I would like to make a motion along those lines, if there's a second.
And for clarity, the motion would be for staff to bring back on September 9th, because obviously we
Yes.
can't rescind it today. You would have to have notice to the public and have a public
Yes.
hearing on it.
And next
So
meeting,
the
we would
motion
have
is
a rescission vote.
Right, it
formally.
would be on September 9th.
Yep.
So I'd like to motion that, if there's a second.
I'll second the motion.
Before we
So
do
we have
that,
a
can I,
motion.
Commissioner, or
One second.
Mayor Rich, can I provide
We
some
have a
comment?
motion by Commissioner Collins and a second by Commissioner Giobi.
But Sean had already asked for.
Can I provide
What's
some
next?
comment?
Commissioner Reed, do you have any questions or comments?
Yeah, so in my research in the Robert Rules of Order, there was 3 options. Obviously, I wasn't here August 12th when you guys voted. I was campaigning. But there is a motion to reconsider, but you would have had to have been on the prevailing side, and that would come from Mayor Rich or Commissioner Clark. So then I would be able to provide input. Commissioner Joby, Commissioner Collins, all of us would be able to partake in it. But obviously, there's a motion on the floor currently, but a reconsideration would have to be done by one of you.
And that's correct, and I
That's not on
am,
the floor.
Right, yeah.
I'm ruling his motion out of order.
Okay.
you know. But yes, but if we chose to rescind, it would be completely done for.
And a new agreement could come
And a
forward.
new agreement could come back before the board, or we could do a reconsideration and it come back. In order to do a reconsideration, though, it'd have to be done
Okay, the
tonight.
motion has been ruled out of order, so we won't have further discussion on it. That's the way it works.
Right, and certainly in a gentler tone. Thank you.
I just didn't know if you guys were willing to reconsider.
You have to wait till after we vote on this
Gotcha.
motion.
Okay,
That's what he's saying.
okay.
No, there's no motion.
There was a motion and a second. and now
There's,
we're-
there's a motion.
Motion to
for-
rescind is on the floor, and there was a second, so that motion has got to be disposed of before you
But
consider
his
another one.
motion is out of order. He can't make that motion because he wasn't at the meeting. He didn't vote in favor
Well,
of that.
I can clarify that.
Okay.
So, and maybe, so there's three options the board has to reconsider a prior course of action. There would be a motion to reconsider, which is what Commissioner Reed had mentioned, and then a motion to rescind, is Commissioner Collins. There is a third option. It's a motion to amend something previously adopted. And a motion to amend, well, first off, a motion to reconsider has to be done by a commissioner who voted in favor of this last motion. And Commissioner Reed is correct, it can only be done tonight or on the day of the hearing. So that's the last date you can raise the motion to reconsider. The other two options, a motion to amend or a motion to rescind, they can be done at any time, tonight or even a subsequent meeting. There is no time limit on it. And the motion to amend or a motion to rescind can be done by commissioners that did not vote in favor of the issue that's being done. So, but, Commissioner Reed is, that you can't bring another motion up until this motion is disposed of, but I guess he's actually asking you if you'd consider another option in your vote, and I think, it would be up to Commissioner Collins to amend his motion or to revoke or rescind his motion to rescind and start over. But otherwise, there is a current motion and a second, so you need to continue to have discussions and then let the public comment and then vote on it.
So, Commissioner Reed, are you asking Commissioner Collins to amend his motion?
Well, I was just seeing if Mayor Rich or Commissioner Clark were willing to do a reconsideration, just because you are the only two that are able to do that before we rescind it, or if we do an amend something previously adopted. So I was just seeing, because obviously I wasn't here August 12th, I was not elected. So we have a majority of 3 people up here that were not even a part of the discussion. And here we are a week and a half later.
And just to clarify, a motion to reconsideration would bring back the original agenda item in motion.
Yeah.
And it would be like you guys starting fresh on that issue. A motion to rescind, like Commissioner Reed said, it just cancels it out altogether. It would have to be put on the agenda and re-raised again at a future date to start something new on it. And then a motion to amend, you actually have to, if you do a motion to amend, nobody's done that or talked about that except myself, but motion to amend, you'd have to be specific on what you want to amend about the agreement, a term in the agreement, and then that's got to be noticed to come back for the next meeting. But, and also, the motion tonight is to bring back whatever motion you decide next meeting. We're not voting on it tonight.
Right. So, a motion to,
Amend. No.
we have a motion to rescind. A motion to reconsider, would either of those require more time? And would
So-
one require more meetings than the other?
By the way, I just looked up the motion to rescind, and it says, if notice of the intent to rescind was given at the previous meeting or in the call of the meeting, that is on the agenda, a majority of vote is required to adopt a motion to rescind. If no notice is given, then 2/3 a vote of the entire membership is required. But in this instance, we'll be giving notice because it'll be coming back on September 9th, and notice will be provided to the public so that they can appear or come on September 9th and provide comments. And essentially, at the staff meeting tomorrow, I will direct staff to put together the history of what's happened so that the whole thing can be presented to the board.
My concern is just that tomorrow, potentially the county might be voting on that ILA to approve it, correct? So if we did want to rescind it, we need to do it now before it's formalized in the county.
If you rescind it now, though, you didn't put it, I mean, it's
It's
not
not
on the
noticed.
agenda.
Right.
You'll violate state statute.
Yeah, the state statute requires
No, I mean,
notice.
to vote to
To set it for
rescission.
September 9th.
But if we are approving that we will be having that vote, that signals to the county that they should wait.
Clearly.
Right, that's what I'm saying. And if we wait to do that, and we're,
No, the motion is to be heard right now.
Any comment, Commissioner Clark, on this motion? There is so much misinformation out in the public about this. If you look at the Boca station, I believe 98% of those costs were covered by grants. The Aventura station, I believe 92% of those costs were covered by grants. So to say that the city is going to be on the hook for $40 million does not reflect the reality of what is probably going to happen. Of course, we cannot guarantee that we will receive, but if you look, excuse me, but if you look at the success that Brightline has had working with municipalities, it would lead one to believe that to be the case. We don't even know what the deal with the county is, because this matter is before them tomorrow. So at least at the meeting in 2 weeks, we will know the deal that we have with the county. Now, if the county rejects this deal, by the way, because of the meeting 2 weeks ago, the lease has been signed with Brightline, because the commission instructed the commission to do that. But the county will have to fall back on their settlement agreement with Brightline, which does require them to pay quite a bit of money. So I'm glad we're going to have the opportunity in 2 weeks to discuss this further and in detail and with correct information. Just speaking for myself, after the issues concerning water quality, I have encountered no issue that has enjoyed so much support as having a Brightline station in the city of Stuart.
Commissioner Rich, can I add more comment?
I don't think he heard you. Commissioner.
Excuse me, Commissioner, are there any other
Mayor Rich, would I
questions
like-
or comments?
Can I provide more
Commissioner
comment?
Yeah.
Okay, so I actually did a FOIA request on the city of Boca, and it was $11.5 million for the parking garage, and I believe the city got a grant for $1.5 million. And besides that, you know, if we talk about a business being successful, you wouldn't be asking for $45 million plus of taxpayer money if you're that successful.
Okay, Mr. Baggett, where are we?
Public comment.
Public comment? You need to fill out a little green card, please.
I will happily fill out, these are my comments for the county tomorrow, but hopefully that vote will be postponed. So let me share them with you and this lovely group of people. We can talk about the agreement for Robin Cartwright, City of Stuart, super famous right here. We can talk about how the agreement for the parking garage with 450 spaces that is now a surface parking lot with 200 spaces, meaning that 250 cars are anticipated of being part of the already crowded street and street parking in the city. But I would like to talk about the land agreements. So the county is giving land to the City of Stuart, who will then lease each parcel for $1 a year for 80 years. One of those parcels is not of the train station, and that agreement is that Brightline can develop it for a TOD and can apply for the Live Local Act, which means it would be slated for development. So if I'm reading everything correctly, and somebody please correct me if I'm wrong, the City of Stuart will bless Brightline to be able to lease a parcel of land for $1 a year that they can develop. But Brightline is not a real estate company, nor do they have a construction company, nor a real estate division to do anything with residential properties, at least not that I could find. So is there a possibility that they are going to take this land that they have leased again for $1 a year for 80 years and sublease it to a company that will develop it?
Robin, that's been removed out of the agreement. So
It's still,
It's on. I
it's on
promise.
the county's agenda for tomorrow, that it is part of it.
The previous.
Well, regardless, we taxpayers are paying for a private entity, a parking facility, train station, buying tickets, and now we are looking at the possibility of this for 80 years with the prospect of development that a private company can make money off of our tax dollars. So someone please explain to me, because I feel like I must be missing something, that this is a good idea that provides a much-needed benefit to our community, to those of us that live here, because I cannot figure it out. And I'm pretty smart. I graduated magna cum laude, I'm Six Sigma certified, I'm definitely able to read, and I still feel like I must be missing something. So for the benefit of everybody here, I am grateful that this is being reconsidered. I feel like we need to have a voice in this, because you are correct, we are paying twice in the City of Stuart for something that gives us absolutely no personal economic benefit. Thank you.
As a point of clarification, what happened was in 2010, when the Charter Review Board for the City of Stuart reviewed again the charter review and the comp plan stuff where they go out to referendum, the issue regarding trains came up again, and they voted to keep it in the comp plan and to move forward. And then in 2011, the city prepared a transit station and design for the final phase of Memorial Park, as well as a transit station is what it was called, but it was on Flagler Avenue on the property adjacent to the courthouse. And in that transit station design on the TOD property, as Ms. Cartwright was referring to it, that's owned by the county, there was a design that showed a 48,000 square foot county building that was intended because at the time the Martin County property appraiser was renting space in the Towers building and was looking for a location to build an office building. And so in the design that the city did in 2011 related to that site, it demonstrated that building. I believe that along the lines during the request for proposals by Brightline, that Brightline probably saw that document or design, and in their March 4th letter, they sent a letter to the county and the city selecting the city and county in response to the request for proposals. And in their letter, they mentioned that they wanted the city to provide 3 acres of land from the landfill, as well as the county to provide what they referred to in that letter as the TOD property. However, neither of those things actually made it to the agreement. I know that I got the letter on March 4th, and on March 5th, I contacted them and told them that I didn't know about the 3 acres and that the city wouldn't have the ability to give them 3 acres at the landfill. And then I know that the final settlement with the county did not include the TOD property at all and would not be renting it, leasing it, letting the county use it, or letting Brightline use it at all. It's not part of the agreement. It's that it will remain a parking lot and owned by the county and used, I believe, by the courthouse during the week and the baseball fields on the weekends. So that particular property wasn't in the agreement. But anyway, that's just an update on where it got there.
As I say, there's a great deal of misinformation out there, and we will have the opportunity, apparently, in 2 weeks to go over this again in detail. See, no,
Are we voting?
you have any comments?
No,
Commissioner
are we
Kirk?
voting?
Well, we have,
Any additional public comment? Okay.
Good evening, Commissioners, and I have to say, it brings a great smile to my face to see the new commissioners sitting up there. We work very hard. You work very hard, and thank you. I'd also like to thank the other commissioners that are sitting there. But Gail Goldie and I am at 1153 Northwest 12th Terrace. And I'd just like to address something that Commissioner Rich said. He's talking about grants. I do believe that you need an education on grants. Grants are not free money. Grants
Ms.
come with
Golding,
no...
may I remind you that you're not allowed to address anyone up here specifically by name?
Oh, okay. Well, then this is for all commissioners. Grants come with no guarantees. Just because there's a grant, it doesn't necessarily mean that we need to look for it or to take it, because it is a cost to the taxpayer. Grants have been much less than what a lot of the people who have applied for them actually receive. And as a taxpayer in this county, and unfortunately I'm not in this city, but I know that many of the city residents pay taxes twice. They pay it to the county and the city. So I would just like to remind everyone that when you're looking at proposals and there's a grant attached to it, please, 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 really, really delve into exactly what we're getting with a grant, if we're going to get it. Thank you.
Do we have anybody else?
I do not.
Mary?
I have to speak during public comment, but it had to do with Brightline, so I'm going to speak now. I want to say welcome to our new city commissioners. We're so glad you're here. The city, Stuart, the residents have
name for the
spoken
record, please?
loud and clear. I'm sorry, Dina Peterson, 221 Hibiscus. The city and the residents have spoken loud and clear. Welcome. We're looking for a change. I feel it's insulting as a citizen to be told we misunderstand. A lot of us are very well informed, are paying attention, and we're watching. And the Bright Line station is a huge cost. We're not guaranteed the grants, as other people have said. I think having it done right, the vote done right before the election was really kind of almost underhanded. Like, it could have waited till we had the people who are going to be rolling this out on the dais. That would have been a more fair process. I think it would have changed the vote quite a bit. Brightline is a private company. They should be rolling out their own money, getting their own grants, raising their own bonds. This is not, the city of Stuart is a small city. We should not be spending the money on this, and I just hope that this vote to rescind goes through in 2 weeks, and that the county takes notice, that the commissioners that are sitting that voted for it before, both at the city and the county, take notice, because the county commissioners tomorrow will be the old county commissioners. And again, it's very convenient that this is happening now and not after they get sworn in. So thank you so much. Congratulations.
Could you fill out a green card, please? Could you fill out a green? Okay. All right. See no other comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Can I verify if it's to bring back the item to rescind those two
We haven't
resolutions
decided that
at
yet.
the 9/9 meeting? Thank you. Okay.
Correct.
Vice Mayor Rich?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Collins?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Giobi?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you all, and with that, I'm done.
Comments by the city manager?
Is there no other city commissioners have any other comments? I just had a couple items to address. First, most people have already heard, but I want to make sure that it's very clear. If you go to the Flagler Center tomorrow, they're going to charge admission because the meeting has been moved for the DEP, and we are hoping not to get the 500 people that didn't find out showing up anyway. But there is not a meeting regarding Jonathan Dickinson State Park tomorrow at 3 o'clock at the Flagler Center. So please, if any of your friends wonder at all, it is not tomorrow. Secondly, the Stuart Heritage Museum was one of the election matters that came up, and I actually think it may have gotten the most favorable election results out of anything ever in the city of Stuart. I think there was less than 200 votes that were no, so it was like 98 or 99% in favor. I just want to let the commission know that I've already communicated with board members from Stuart Heritage, and I will be working with them and be bringing a draft lease forward sometime either in late December or late September, early October. They're already in possession, so it's not like it's any big deal or emergency.
10-year lease, is that?
It already had a 10-year lease, and so the 10-year lease expired, and you can't extend it beyond 10 years without a referendum. So the length of the lease will be up to the commission, but I couldn't even bring a lease back for 6 months because their 10 years was up. So that'll be up to the board, the length of time and those terms, and we can address that at the agenda item. And lastly, during the meeting before, the folks that had a concern about the CDBG grant that said they had reached out to the city and that they had not received any response. The reason that the agenda item was on the agenda and scheduled to bring to the attention of the commission was because they reached out and was in fact intended to bring it to everybody's attention to provide them with the response and the opportunity to talk that they were saying that we didn't give them. I just wanted to let you know that we intentionally brought it forward for that purpose. And I don't want to comment on the actual merits or facts of it because, as you all noticed and were clear about, the city of Stuart was more of a catalyst than deeply involved. So I am sure there are two sides to the story, and rather than commenting on either of them, I think it needs to be fleshed out, and hopefully we can do that over the next few weeks. And that's all I've got.
Can I have a motion for the approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Moved by,
Can I pull an item now?
yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Approve the agenda and pull item numbers 3 and 4 as far as I'm concerned, just for explanation purposes.
So we have a motion for approval of the agenda, pulling items 3 and 4 from the consent calendar. Is there a second?
What would be the purpose of pulling them?
To discuss them.
To discuss them?
Not removing them, just
Gotcha.
discussing.
Oh, okay, that's
Yep.
what I was confused. I thought they were being removed. Okay,
For
I'll
discussion.
second the motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Or do we roll call? It's all in favor.
No, we don't have roll call.
Aye.
Comments from the public on non-agenda related items.
I see one.
Ms. Hamilton.
I'm Olga Hamilton, 3rd Street, Stuart, Little Church, right at the corner of ATT. So as we were talking here about taxpayers' money, CDBG program, and here, I'm sorry, I'm back there. There are many people with the CDBG, too, programs. This is all taxpayer-funded programs. They are good programs. They help our communities to rehabilitate houses. Yes, rehabilitate, not to bring the disaster in these houses by shoddy work constantly and constantly and constantly. Taxpayers' fraud in these programs takes many forms. It can be committed by applicants, but it can be committed, and it's very often committed by shady contractors. Now, it helps our community here when the general contractor bring unskilled workers in your house and they don't even know what they are doing. That's what happened. No local guys, no local workers, no local subcontractors. We have roof companies, our very good roof companies. We have window companies, our local guys. No one hired. Everyone brought from Jacksonville. And they all like traveling wagons. And they don't speak even English. It's not, I'm telling you that you cannot communicate with them. You cannot tell them, stop guys. And when the management company, since May 22nd, I preserved all messages, all emails, thousands photographs, videos, and every time when I send these messages and photos to the managing company guardians, oh, okay, that's fine. Give them another chance. We will fix it. Give them another chance. So I sent him photo left. That's what was left from our walls. They ordered negligently windows that were 4 inches bigger. And they
Ms. Hamilton, you
proceeded,
need to address the board.
Yeah.
and they proceeded to alter our exterior bearing wall. They were cutting essential parts of our walls, jack studs that support our cripples and wall plate. We have cracks in the wall. We have holes in the wall, patched by
Ms. Hamilton,
silicone.
you're supposed to be
When
addressing
I
the
sent-
commissioners.
When I sent this particular picture with the pencil stacking, this is silicone hole. They cut 4 inches of our wall. Workers, 3 workers, unskilled workers were left on our property without any supervision.
Thank you,
And
Mrs.
that's what
Hamilton.
happened.
Thank you, Mrs. Hamilton.
Thank you very much for your attention. And a quick moment.
No.
Okay.
Thank you, Mrs. Hamilton. Thank you. Could I ask the commissioners who are texting or receiving text to turn off their ding ringers? Because I'm listening for Mary for the First of all, you really shouldn't be texting up here, but if you could turn off the dingers, then it was confusing. I didn't know when her time was up. No, I think.
No, it definitely wasn't me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my
So
phone
I'm
was
sorry
on.
then, if that's the case.
Call me old. Where's your computer?
Didn't you hear those dingers? Any other public comment regarding non-agenda items? Oh, I'm sorry, I have it here. It's my first, I'm getting it.
Frank McChrystal, City of Stuart.
These are them.
I'd like to thank the previous speaker for waking me up from my coma. So I'm ready to ramble now. She nailed it. I mean, everything ties together. The shelter line stretching around the corner. Welcome to the New World Order. Illegal aliens building new houses with on-the-job training. It's unbelievable. You do not want to buy a new house anywhere anymore. Get yourself an old house, all right? So, what a great country, and the Lord is good. 95 votes, what a difference 95 votes makes. It was about 2.5 years ago when I listened to a young woke mayor describing all the woke things that needed to happen to our city to comply with the globalist Agenda 21. And the existing city manager chimed in, yeah, and I think the city manager needs a brand new Tesla. Okay, and so then what really got me excited and wanting to do something, anything, anyhow, was when this existing mayor said, now, we've spent 2.5 hours describing all this new and beautiful stuff that's going to be so great for the citizens, but the most important thing that we need to do is to create a new position, hire a full-time position that's going to spend time educating the people on how good it is. So I would hope this new commission understands one thing. You work for us, not, I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much.
Valerie Jones? Valerie Jones? No, Valerie.
Valerie Jones, 40-year resident of Stuart. Clearly, everybody here is aware of the brouhaha surrounding the proposal for golf courses and resort hotels at the Florida state parks, including Jonathan Dickinson. I have sadly learned through personal experience that despite massive public outcry, no proposition is actually dead until laws or regulations are changed at the state, city, or county level. I would respectfully request that the Stuart City Commission consider and pass a resolution protecting the sanctity of Jonathan Dickinson and opposing commercial development. Thank you.
Deborah, thank you, Ms. Jones. Harsh?
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. I just want to reiterate a little about the Hamiltons, and hopefully, all the shoddy work that was done on the church can be rectified, and the original bones of the church will be reconstructed and put back into its historic state. I want to thank you for your time and consideration into saving the 1895 church on 3rd Street and making it the landmark that generations to come will know and appreciate the history of Potsdam.
Thank you.
Thank you. And one of our CRB members, Bonnie Moser. Is Bonnie here? No. Okay. Deanna Peterson. Oh, thank you, Ms. Peterson. And Carl, is it Carl Hathaway?
All left.
Carl left? Yes. Okay. So that's the end of all my green. Oh, there's Chief.
And I think there's one more coming.
Non-agenda items.
What? I do not. Unless is he speaking to a specific item? Jimmy, did you want to? Yes, I have Jimmy's.
He's on a specific item.
Yeah, he's on 6. Yeah.
I think Mr. Christie's on 6 too.
Who did you just hand me there, Chief? Charles Jones. Charles Jones. Sorry, sir, but you get to be last.
There's one more.
Oh, second to last, sorry.
Good evening, Commissioners. I just want to state, for the record, I think it's pretty obvious when you look around the city, whether it's St. Lucie or Martin County, you see growth, growth, and growth. From someone who grew up in Stuart, particularly in East Stuart, that is where my concern lies, especially with East Stuart. There's a lot of changes that have been proposed, especially with the building that Willie Gary had purchased many, many years ago as far as the use of it and what it can do to our community. I know initially it had been stated to be something to help enrich or to help the citizens or the residents of East Stuart to actually have a chance to, whether they want to bring forth their own businesses or have a place where they can use it to train or it can help ourselves. But it seems as of late that decisions have been made to where it's now going to be vocational, but it's inviting people outside of the area. It doesn't really serve our interests.
Mr. Jones, I believe you're speaking about item 6.
Oh, so is that coming up?
Yeah.
Have I
So
spoken
if-
too soon?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll wait.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, this is a twofer for Ms. Cartwright, so Robin?
So officially, I will clarify, Bob did not run for anything and does a great job with Project Lift, and I'm very excited that they're coming to the Stuart community. So good evening officially, commissioners. And first and foremost, I want to congratulate our newly elected commissioners, both at the city and the county level. While voter turnout was unfortunately low compared to previous years, I think those who did vote made quite a statement based on what they voted for. So what did we learn this election? Voters care about campaign contributions, votes on developments, and apparent and sometimes real conflicts of interest. And now that the elections are over, now what? Paying attention doesn't stop just because the election is over. We will continue to monitor the influences over activities as well as the activities themselves. Make no mistake, there is still work to do, but there's not a lot of time before 2026, and we need to make voters aware of what's still at stake and what's possible for our communities. And it's great to know that people are paying attention. The elections of the 2 new commissioners here at the city, congratulations, and the 2 new commissioners at the county are a referendum on how current residents feel about the votes by the respective commissions, mainly the disregarding of the concerns expressed by those of us who live here. Because as a gentle reminder, we will and we do vote, as evidenced by the change you see tonight on the dais. Congratulations.
Ms. Rudge.
Good evening, Karen Hall, Yost Rudge, 1701 Southwest Palm City Road. I second her about how grateful we are and what a change being made, but I do want to thank Mayor Bruner and Commissioner McDonald for their service, and I'm glad we're having a change, but thank you for your service. I want to bring up this, we have to stop this nonsense about if we say something nice about you, we're allowed to say your name, but if we say something that's true, that maybe you voted on something that we didn't care for, then all of a sudden we're going to be interrupted. And so it was you, Mayor, who said that interrupting a speaker is bad form, and that's so true. It's very bad form. So I love that I'm in this city. I love this county. Been voting here since 1992. I love my country. I love being able to redress my grievances to my government, and we're excited. But yes, let's not have this nonsense. It can't be selective. You can't let someone say something nice, but then call out. If Commissioner Reed does something, which I don't think he will, but if he does, I'd like to be able to say, I don't appreciate that. So let's not do selective, okay? And this public comment. Look what time it is. 7 o'clock. We're the public. We pay for everything. We love you guys, but maybe commissioners should go after us. And if you want to go before us, you get 3 minutes. You have caught us from 5 to 3 minutes. This is nonsense, okay? So we love what you have to say, but what you have to say is actually more important because we're paying you and for all this. So anyway, God bless America. God bless the city of Stuart.
We have a motion to approve the consent calendar, pulling items 3 and 4.
Excuse me, Mayor, I apologize, but Mr. Hamilton stated he put in a card. I don't have it here, so perhaps.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Hamilton.
It may already be in your hands.
Thank
Vice Mayor.
Mr. Campanini,
No,
maybe.
I'm all out of.
I'm sorry, my
I'm
name
all
is
out of
Robert Hamilton,
cards.
the 1895 Church of Stuart, 311 Southwest 3rd Street. Mr. Campanini made me think of something, and I want to address for Pinal Gandhi. I learned something from Pinal the other day. I didn't realize that when our city is implementing this program, our city gets no money. Do you realize that 25 to 30% goes to the Guardian program, who would not help us? We need to think about that, because we have to have teeth, and this needs to be changed. The program's great. I've worked with Ms. Gandhi before, right here on projects. We always didn't agree, but she was professional. She was nice. And we met in the middle. And it was serious. Had to do with water flooding under the church. And she took it seriously, and we resolved the issue. I've asked, and you got the flooded emails, and I know Mr. Mortel got mine. I just feel, and I'm not trying to poke anybody, and I want to thank Eula. I want to thank you very much, man, because you responded, and you talked to me, and you made me feel like a human. And when I was speaking to Brian Mass' office, because we're doing multiple meetings, I said, we feel subhuman. We have 3 minutes to get out, and it's taxpayers' money. And we don't have the time to talk. I realize Mr. Mortel is busy, but I had truly hoped in the heart of our people, our citizens here, that you would have said, you know what, Mike? You need to sit down with the Hamiltons and Pinal and find out what's going on and get Lou in the building department and Bruce. I've been doing business here for years restoring that place. I realize he's busy. I shouldn't have to sit down with Mass office to resolve this issue. And he said, when you're there, you tell them if there's any other suspected fraud or misappropriation of federal dollars or state dollars, you contact me at my office. I rely on all of you people here. I know you. I don't interfere in your regular business. Mr. Mortel knows me. I spent my life in litigation. It's not something I like. It's what I did and was good at. I'm not an attorney. I was a trial consultant, but I know how to put a trial together. Olga handles 1,200 pieces of evidence without a miss and hits 44 million in our community on a bad chain from a Chinese company. I'm very proud of the work she did, but when we found ourselves in that bad situation, we had to reach out to you guys. And I realize this protocol, you gotta understand what it feels like to be that individual that we don't count for subhuman. So you can come in and speak. 3 minutes? It would take me and Mr. Mortel and Ms. Gandhi to sit down for several hours to and have Olga show the documentation, and some of it's flat out fraud into our building department. That's wrong what they did to our building department, not telling them, but I had it in my contract. They didn't think I was gonna read my contract. Well, there it was in the contract. Building department's going, we don't have that. I would just yield the rest of my time over. Oh, there's no time. Thank you very much.
Okay, I've made this comment before, but there were not quite so many people here, but there are quite a few in attendance, and Stuart is very lucky to have so many concerned citizens. And this was actually the remarks I was going to make to our new commissioners, this is a very difficult job, because the only time we can talk to each other is here, in public, on the dais. I hope none of you have each other's phone numbers. I hope none of you text each other. I hope none of you email each other. I hope you never speak on because that is a violation of the Sunshine Law. And that is not a little thing, okay? Up in Sebastian, if I can find my remarks, 3 commissioners broke the sunshine. 2 of them went to jail. They lost their office. 2 of them went to jail, had a fine, and the 3rd was removed from office and had a fine. So if I spend 10% of my time up here, I'd be surprised. Most of my time is spent talking to the people who live and work in the city, and it's a lot more than 3 minutes. These are long meetings. I go to their houses. I walk on their property. I go to their businesses. I travel. And that's my job, and it takes a lot of time. So I've been in your position. I've been in the audience, and I understand the frustration you feel. But let me tell you, we hear you. We hear you, and it matters to us that you have a problem and it's not being dealt with. And you will find in most instances that you're going to get a call from one of the commissioners after the meeting and say, what's the problem? How can I help you? I'm coming out to your house. So, right, it's 7 o'clock. The meeting started at 5:30. It's the 3-minute limit is an acknowledgement of that. Many of you have worked all day. You've come here after work, and your time is limited as well. And we have to get to these decisions, and this is the only time we can talk to each other about it. And so we do have to be selfish with the demands of that time. And Ms. Raj, I know you know that.
Okay.
No.
We're not the audience. We're the taxpayers.
So Gail Goldie.
We're not the audience.
She already spoke.
Gail Goldie, 1153 Northwest 12th Terrace. I just wanted to make a comment on the Olga Hamilton's talk about the shoddy work that was done at her property. I know several people that have had grants and were granted the grant, and the work that was done was atrocious. It was terrible. The work, and my thing would be that I just want the commissioners to know, I don't know who's in charge of picking the contractors that do this work. If there's a list that they have to choose from, I know that Olga said that they didn't take the cheapest, they went to the most expensive. But whoever they are, I believe that there should be a better vetting process for the people that are doing the work. And that, I don't know who you get to do the vetting process, but you need to have someone that is doing a better vetting process for these contractors that are working on a grant and taxpayer money. Thank you.
And just as a point of clarification, in the CDBG grant arena, it's a federal program, and the city of Stuart isn't the one that gets to select or do any of the vetting process. So we actually didn't participate on that. We didn't have any RFPs or any criteria or any review authority at all. And Olga was correct that I do believe that the people that worked on hers were from Jacksonville, and I know that at the meeting before this, when Commissioner Clark brought it up, this is about a year ago, we had a matter in East Stuart where the people had a CDBG grant, and the contractor was from Texas and was operating under a temporary license.
Mr. Ernst. And that is the last green card I have, so.
Are you sure? For unagended items.
Greetings, Commissioners. Small town Stuart. Small town Stuart. Let's be proud of small town Stuart.
Could you introduce yourself and your address, please?
Say again?
Could you introduce yourself and your address, please?
Yes, Bob Ernst, 801 Johnson Avenue
Thank you.
in Stuart. I look up at that shield there and I see small town Stuart. And I'd like to welcome Laura and Sean, and I'd never seen Chris smile so much.
It's true.
Sorry to say, the last commission voted against small town Stuart. And it's not the rhetoric we listen to, it's the votes we look at. Remember the outcry when Cube Smart Storage was built at the corner of US 1 in Palm City. We thought the previous commission would listen when there was such an outcry. They did not. Matheson, Bruna, and McDonald are all gone now. We told them traffic on Canna was unsustainable. Canna and US 1, north and south, and now we know officially north. They're trying to figure out what they're going to do about traffic on north. But build more tenements? We're over capacity. You know how to tell a road is over capacity? When you sit through numerous traffic signals, as you do in Canna and US 1, as you do on Monterey and US 1, as you do on Indian as US 1. So what did the prior commission do for an answer? They put in Costco and 400 tenements, plus all the other things going in there. And they put in Indigo, that's the tenements at the corner of Indian and Canna. The constituents pleaded with you not to do this. The constituents of South Federal Highway pleaded with you not to do Mason. And you went ahead and voted for these unneeded developments. I hope we can keep in mind small town Stuart, and there's really no capacity left. I think probably the most you heard when you were out there campaigning was complaints about traffic. And when you have traffic issues, you don't put in a Costco, you don't put in 400 tenements, and you don't put in Indigo. And I can make a list of others that you voted in, but I probably won't have time in the 3 minutes. I appreciate you both being here. I hope you can all work together. I think the message is loud and clear, both here in small town Stuart and in Martin County. We worked hard. I was so afraid the voters weren't going to listen. The voters weren't going to be informed. But they did listen, and they were informed, and they made a loud statement. And hopefully, it'll make some change. It's made some changes up there, and hopefully the influence will be contagious. And I thank you very much for your time. I thank you for serving. We know you work hard. Thank you very much.
Ma'am, could you?
My name's Deborah Harsh. You already have my green card. Anyway, I just want to reiterate.
Did you already speak once on this?
I did. Do I have to? I'll fill another one out.
No, I'm
I just
sorry.
want to take 2 seconds.
Only once, only once.
Only once?
Only
Okay,
once.
well,
the last speaker, you just let her do it.
meeting, if, I don't let.
Okay. Can we get a motion for the,
Move adoption of the consent agenda. I had pulled item number 3 and 4 just to have staff briefly talk about it and to see if there's a
Okay.
relationship.
do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Commission action, so let's take up 3.
Item 3.
Let's take up item 3 right now. Pinal, will you be presenting?
I need to read the title.
Yeah, thank you.
Resolution number 86-2024, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Stuart, Florida, authorizing the mayor to execute an interlocal agreement between the City of Stuart and Martin County to provide maintenance of traffic signal cabinets with decorative art wrap, providing an effective date, and for other purposes.
And I don't think we need to have Ms. Gandhi
Yeah,
Saab just
we
go
already
over it.
talked about this.
This is the same thing as the wrap that was discussed or presented to you earlier today. It was my understanding that Commissioner Giobbe had asked that we go back to the county on this interlocal agreement and request that the language as it relates to the county being responsible for the wrap in the event that they damage it when they're repairing or doing anything to the boxes be amended. I've already spoken to the city attorney about that between the meetings, so that part is covered. But yes, this is that amendment to that interlocal agreement.
Right, so we didn't, yeah, so that's why we need to, okay, thanks. Number 4,
Well, we have to address this and vote on it. Need a motion for approval.
So we have a
or-
motion to approve Resolution 86-2024.
Second.
Oh, that's
I
not his
can't do it.
motion. He's,
I'm asking
Mayor,
for a
he can't
motion.
motion. He has to.
I can't move it.
Right.
second.
We have a motion for approval by Commissioner Collins, a second by Commissioner Clark. Any comments or questions from the other commissioners? All in favor, or you want to do roll call?
It's got to be roll call on the public.
Okay. Oh, public comment. Any public comment on this particular item, the wrapping of the signal boxes?
It's actually the maintenance of the interlocal, or the maintenance of the signal boxes
Okay.
wrapping.
Seeing none, roll call, please. Madam
Commissioner
Clerk?
Reed,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rich,
Yes?
Commissioner Clark,
Yes.
Commissioner Giobi,
Yes.
Commissioner Collins.
Yes.
Mr. Baggett, will you read item number 4, please?
Sure, Mayor. Resolution number 84-2024, a resolution of the City Commission of City of Stuart, Florida, authorizing an interlocal agreement between the City of Stuart and Martin County to maintain the existing entrance monument sign on Indian Street, providing an effective date and for other purposes.
And I'll be happy to handle this as well. As a background to this, Martin County was the catalyst behind the construction of the Indian Street Bridge, and the on-ramp and off-ramp were considered county roads, even though that's technically an extension of Highway 714. The county is transferring the road back to FDOT, but FDOT will only take care of and/or manage traffic control signs. East of Canner Highway is a Welcome to Stuart sign that is not considered an FDOT traffic control sign, and as a result, the county wants to enter into an interlocal agreement with the city that the city would be responsible for the maintenance of the monument sign on the corner of Indian Street and Canner there. The option would be that the city be responsible for it or we remove it. So this interlocal agreement is simply the city saying that it will in fact be responsible for the sign, and if somebody crashes into it and breaks it or whatever, it'll be our responsibility to obviously go repair it, and obviously over the years to maintain it and paint it and keep it in proper shape.
Overall approval of 84-2024.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Clark for approval and a second by Commissioner Collins. Any discussions, concerns, or questions from the public comment? Come forward, please. And fill out a card afterwards. Please introduce yourself.
Valerie Jones, longtime resident of Canner Highway, 40 years, right across from Costco. I'd just like to note that Welcome to the City of Stuart monument sign is probably on county land, and the city failed to acknowledge all of the thousands of county residents who were completely disregarded in the passage of the Costco development.
Could you fill out a card, please, ma'am? Any other comments? Questions? Commissioners? Nope. Seeing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Collins,
Yes.
Commissioner Clark,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Rich,
Yes.
Commissioner Reed,
Yes.
Commissioner Giobi.
Yes.
We're moving on to the first reading of
Actually,
items.
oh, did we pass 2 and 5 in the consent?
Yes, we
Okay.
passed the consent calendar. I got that one. right.
Is it, yeah, we did vote on.
Yes, we did.
consent.
vote. Didn't we, Madam Clerk?
We didn't pull
Yes.
5.
No, we didn't do 5.
We did not pull it. It's approved.
It's approved with the, which included the minutes. First reading, Mr. Baggett, will you please read ordinance number 2532-2024?
Of course. Ordinance number 2532-2024, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Stuart, Florida, amending the city's official zoning map to rezone a 2.4-acre parcel located at 710 Southeast Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, being more described in Exhibit A attached, from commercial planned unit development to business and mixed-use zoning designation, providing directions to the city clerk, providing for repeal of all ordinances in conflict, providing for an effective date, and for other purposes. And before I give it back to you, Mayor, I just wanted to point out, we do have some new board members, and Commissioner Reed just stepped out, but there was a lot of confusion in the past with the past board when we have these multiple readings and multiple hearings. And I just wanted to reiterate the rules on a rezoning matter like this, that there are 2 hearings, that will be conducted by the City Commission to consider a proposed rezoning, and this is a rezoning. Such hearings may be scheduled on the agenda of the regular City Commission meeting, which we're here. And also, it says the rezoning ordinance may be read by title only at the first hearing. The second hearing is where we'll have a quasi-judicial hearing, and that's when you take testimony, put people under oath, and that the rezoning ordinance may be adopted at the conclusion of the quasi-judicial hearing. So the quasi-judicial is not today, so I got a lot of questions with the former board on some of these hearings, and I just wanted to clarify it since we did have some new members, that ideally this first hearing, I just read the title, and you could have some comments, but I guess when you get to it, it would be motion to push the ordinance to the second reading for the next hearing, and that's when we have, evidence and people under oath and so forth. But I just wanted to clarify that because we did have that issue a few months ago and some confusion.
And just to further clarify, we are only voting on the rezoning. We are not
Correct.
voting on any potential lease that may be given.
Correct.
on
That
this
would be
piece
it.
of
Yeah,
property.
this is just rezoning the parcel at issue. And again, the next hearing, you'll have a quasi-judicial hearing, and that's where you vote on approval or deny.
Project.
Right.
Of the rezoning. But there is also another issue that's coming
Second
with it.
reading on the rezoning at the next hearing,
So-
but there's also the other.
I'm just going to ask.
And I probably should have spent more time
That's okay.
with you, Commissioner.
But I'm
And
hearing
don't-
2
You were
different
out
things.
alone because
No,
some of the other commissioners.
I'm hearing 2 different things. I'm hearing that there's a vote to change it, but you said it's just a vote to move it forward, where it will be discussed at the next meeting.
Correct.
And
So-
voted on at that point.
So
The
for
vote today is not to vote to actually accept.
the rezoning, it's to push it forward to the second hearing.
Right.
So under state statute and under our city ordinance, we have to have 2 hearings. The law only requires that we read it at the first hearing for the rezoning. Now, we're going to have the second ordinance reading next commission meeting, and it'll be quasi-judicial in nature. You'll have to disclose ex parte communications that you've had. You will also hear evidence under oath, and you'll make a decision there. You'll act as in judicial in nature at the next hearing. There's also, I think, a second component, another issue that only has to be done one time. It'll be a second hearing on the same property, but tonight is just rezoning the property from the CPUD to the business mixed use.
So we are voting on the actual
No,
rezoning.
I'm reading.
But if all of you vote yes, it doesn't make it binding, because it requires 2 hearings. You'd still have to come back on September 9th, and the vote on September 9th is the binding vote. Today is more of a signal to the public and to everybody else as to what you intend to do September 9th, absent some change in circumstances.
If we did vote no hypothetically tonight,
You could still vote yes
would
September 9th.
it still move forward on the 9th? Yeah,
Well,
that's-
if 5 of you voted no, it'd still come back for second reading and would be really up for the actual vote on the 9th.
Did you hear that, Commissioner Giobi?
Actually, I was telling Sean was out of the room. I was going to ask him to ask the attorney what had just been
Can you
explained. Sorry.
state that, Mr. Martell? Commissioner Giobi didn't hear that.
If all 5 commissioners vote no tonight on the zoning, it still would move forward and come back for the second reading, because the second reading is the actual vote on a zoning. Technically, under state law, you have to have 2 readings of a motion, but only 1 vote. it has been the culture and tradition in Stuart to have the commission vote at both readings of the motion, because a lot of people come out to the first hearing and want to see how the commissioners feel. And historically, the commissioners felt like it was kind of leaving the public in the lurch if they didn't actually vote at that first reading after seeing what they were, hearing public comment, et cetera. So we vote on it at first reading, even though the vote at second reading is actually the only one that counts. It's not like we go back and take an average of the first and second reading or anything like that. It's just that it's been a tradition and standard in Stuart, out of respect for the people that come to the meetings, to have the commissioners show how they're feeling at the time of the meeting. However, there could be new information between now and the second meeting that causes you to change your vote.
Thank you.
Good.
Do we have a motion?
No, we got
Let's
a
hear
presentation.
public comment.
Presentation from the.
Oh, I'm sorry. Right, presentation.
Good evening, Mayor Rich, and welcome new commissioners, Commissioner Joby and Commissioner Reed. Thank you. Just to kind of give you a little bit of background of where we how this project came to fruition. I apologize. My name is Jody Kugler. I'm the development director with the development department, and I'm going to introduce Pinal, who's our community development redevelopment agency director, and she has the insight of how we're looking to rezone this property.
Good evening, Pinal Gandhi Savda, CRA director for the record. I've been working on this project since 2021, so I want to provide a brief history about the project and how we got here, especially to our new commissioners. So this is the project timeline. The proposal for this site is a rezoning from CPUD to BMU for a job training center. And we're also asking for conditional use, which will be heard at the next city commission meeting. So the project.
I'm sorry, mister. When you do the alphabet soup, can you just explain it to the residents? CPUD, BMU?
Right, so the rezoning application, actually Jody will go through the rezoning application process and present that to the public. I'm just presenting the timeline of the project.
Okay, so
yeah, there will be further discussion about the rezoning. So again, the project, we started working on this project back in 2021. The governor announced that there was a CDBG COVID relief grant available for communities. The federal government actually made $5 billion available to states to prevent, prepare for, and respond to economic impact of the pandemic. Then the HUD, which is Housing and Urban Development, which is federal government, they partnered with Florida Commerce. It used to be called DEO, Department of Economic Opportunity. They partnered with Florida Commerce to administer the grant. And then the grant was made available to the communities. There was advertisement, which is notice of funding availability for the communities to apply for the grant. City of Stuart decided we were going to pursue this grant. We didn't know what we were going to pursue it for, so we had a public meeting. There was a notice that was published in the newspaper. We had 2 public hearings because we wanted to hear from the community, hear their ideas and what we wanted to apply for. We were limited to certain eligible activities that the program offered. So we had 2 meetings back in February 2021 to get input from the community. So these are some of the eligible activities. We could acquire, construct, rehab buildings, assistance to businesses that were impacted by COVID, public services, and project planning, such as design studies to prevent and planning for future pandemics. So we heard from the public. There were some comments made. At the end, the board did recommend that we were going to acquire the Willie Gary property. This was all at a public hearing meeting. We were going to acquire the 710 Southeast Martin Luther King Boulevard. And again, this was supposed to be for job training center to help the community, to help grow the economy and foster generational growth for the residents, for Stuart residents. Application was submitted back in March 2021. There were no actions. We didn't hear anything from the state until June 2022 when DeSantis announced that 23 communities were awarded grants for the project that we applied for. We were one of the 23 communities that received the grant for $4.7 million, the highest amount. So we were very excited, and we did have public meetings to accept the grant. And then we executed a grant agreement with the state back in January 2023. We began the negotiation process with the property owner to acquire the property. During that process, we did some inspections, and it wasn't feasible to rehab the building. That's what we initially applied for, is to acquire and rehab the existing buildings, but it wasn't cost feasible. So we decided that we were going to change the scope to demo and new construction. So then I went back to the state and I said, hey, we need additional money. We don't have, this is not enough to do new construction. So I requested additional $1.5 million project. So they did recently approve it for a total of $6.2 million. And that was actually just executed last month. So we actually didn't get the full amount till last month. We had to go through the environmental review process. That is a long process. It takes almost a year to go through that process. As we've heard at the CDBG rehab, they just have a lot of regulations that we have to comply with. And they wouldn't authorize to use the grant fund until we clear the environmental. So that didn't happen until end of last year. And we finally got authorization to use grant funds in December 2023. So until then, we really couldn't take any actions, couldn't acquire the property. We just had to sit still. And we acquired the property for $1.6 million in January 2024. Again, anytime we take any actions, all these items comes before the City Commission for approval and their public hearing process. We advertised for RFP, contracted with Kimley Horn to design the building and the site planning. That was back in February or March 2024. Again, the process was very fast. As soon as we received that we could move forward with the acquisition, everything else happened in like 4 or 5 months. We decided we were going to partner with Project Lift. So we had a memorandum of understanding. We executed that agreement with Project Lift back in April 2024. And then once we had conceptual plans, we went before the East Stewart neighborhood to get their input on the site plan and design. And it's true, that was the first time they saw that, because again, we just started working on that back as soon as we received approval and acquired the property. So within a few months, we did go before the community to get their input. And then CRB and LPA meeting were last month. We received, they did recommend approval for rezoning. Today I'm here before you, City Commission, to get your approval on rezoning. And then on September 9th, I'll come before you again for rezoning, final rezoning approval, and conditional use approval. As far as the timeline for the construction, we hope to submit for demolition site and building permits in the next couple of months. Should we have your support to move forward? We will advertise for construction, get the bid on construction in October 2024. Hope to award the contract by November 2024 and begin construction by early 2025, and hope to substantially complete it by late 2025 and then close out the grant by 2026. That is our deadline. We do have to close out this grant. There's no extension. And that concludes my presentation, but Jody's going to go through the rezoning process.
Thank you.
Good evening again. For the record, my name is Jody Kugler. I'm with the Development Department. Tonight I'll be presenting agenda item number 6, a petition submitted on behalf of the city's Community Redevelopment Agency to amend the city's official zoning atlas map to rezone the property located at 710 Southeast Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard from commercial planned unit development to a business mixed-use zoning district. by the public notice requirements outlined in under Section 11.02.05 of the Land Development Code, the applicant mailed 40 letters to adjacent property owners located within 300 feet of the subject parcel, providing details of the requested development and a date and time of tonight's meeting. Additionally, 3 signs were posted on the property along with this same information. The 2.4-acre vacant site is located at the intersection of Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard and Tarpon Avenue. The property is located within this Community Redevelopment Agency area and also located in the East Stuart area. According to the form-based code that was adopted in 2023, this property is located in East Stuart Neighborhood Zoning District. And according to the requirements for any presentations in front of the board, this zoning change had to go before the CRB, the local planning agency, and tonight at the City Commission. This just gives you a little bit of timeline of what actually happened on the property. The property was rezoned in 1985 through ordinance number 1037/85, and the property was rezoned from R3 to commercial planned unit development, and also amended the comprehensive plan, and entering a commercial planned unit development agreement to construct what was called the Vista Village Shopping Center. Sorry. In 1987, construction was completed at the Vista Village Shopping Center. In 1987, also, Willie Gary purchased the property and finished the building conditions. In 2021, CRA obtained the grant, and in 2023, they were looking to purchase the property, and acquisition happened in 2024. This is the actual site plan that was originally approved in 1987 of the Vista Village Shopping Center. And just to kind of get familiar with the property, Martin Luther King is at the top of the property. In blue, the blue square was a convenience store, a coin laundry, and a confection store totaling 5,600 square feet. The orange area demonstrates the 2 gas pumps with canopy. The green retail area totaled 2,500 square feet. The pink is the office space, which totaled 3,120 square feet. And the yellow is the car wash that's totaled 2,500 square feet. Again, this property is located in the East Stuart Neighborhood District, and the purpose of the code was to encourage redevelopment, infill development, and small business development, affordable housing, historical preservation and restoration, and to promote stability within the East Stuart neighborhood. According to your Land Development Code Section 3.02.02 of the regulating plan, a business mixed-use zoning district is traditional business area abutting the south side of Martin County Luther Junior Highway, adjacent to the Central and East Avenues. The area is currently characterized by several vacant properties and a few scattered single-family. Again, this is the regulating plan that was pulled out of the form-based code. As you can see, the property is circled in like a lighter fuchsia color. That is the current zoning, which is a commercial planned unit development. As you can see, nowhere in that jurisdiction is showing a commercial plan development. And this is same property. And this is the proposed zoning, which would go to a dark fuchsia, which is consistent with the neighborhood for the business and mixed-use zoning district. Again, the land use is East Stuart.
Joe, do you have a question? When did that parcel next to it become BMU? Because we just did this. We just did this overlay recently. Because that would be strange for that to just be a one-off in the middle of...
Oh, they're all BMUs.
Okay.
So, according to our director, CRA director, it's always been listed as a BMU.
Isn't that a part of the
BMU
East Stewart
used-
overlay?
Jody.
I can give some historical context to that. So you're correct. In 2003 was when that was adopted.
Could you identify yourself, please?
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry, I'm rusty. Jessica Seymour with Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council. We assisted the CRA and the development staff back in 2002 and 2003 with the code update in this area. Very few map changes were made, so we wanted to stay consistent. So that BMU was consistent with what's across the street from there at that time. So there was very few changes into what was the permitted uses in that area.
So you assigned that BMU when you did that overlay?
No, it wasn't. It was the BMU, the single-family dwelling, duplex zoning district, and thank you very much, and the GRO, which is the general residential office. So those were all existing zoning categories, and so we kept consistent with those. There were a handful of places where there were some modifications, but that was already the intensity that was at that location. And by intensity, I mean the permitted uses were consistent, so there wasn't a change in that area.
Again, this is the title reading from the ordinance. Again, staff recommendation, this petition conforms with the criteria as outlined in section 11.0200 of the Land Development Code statutes and consistent with the goals, objectives, and the policies of the City of Stuart Comprehensive Plan. And staff requests the City of Stuart City Commission forward to the second and final adoption of ordinance number 2532-2024 at the Monday, September 9, 2024 City Commission meeting to amend the official zoning map from commercial planning and development to business mixed use located at 710 Southeast Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. This ends staff's presentation, and here to happy answer any questions.
Are there any questions of Jody? Ms. Commissioner Collins.
So, and just kind of briefly scanning through the CPUD, what's allowable, and the BMU within the East Stewart Code, they both greenlight schools. So I'm curious why we are needing to change to BMU.
It does not allow vocational school.
Right.
The BMU does not, BMU allows vocational school? Yes. Right.
So
And plus, we wanted to keep with straight zoning because we're meeting most of the code.
It's currently PUD.
Right. It's currently PUD, and within CPUD, it allows this use.
Commercial.
So the question before, the commission before was, did you
Right.
guys want to change it from a PUD to straight zoning? And rather than having a PUD, the direction was to have it be straight zoning. So that, I mean, you could leave it PUD.
Here's my only concern. This is my issue with this, is if I can do what we want to do here with the current zoning, I would rather leave it that way, because when we go BMU, I open this parcel up to a lot of other new land uses later, including multifamily. Like within a CPUD, you can't have an assisted living facility, you can't have multifamily, you can't have a hospital, you can't have an adult business, you can't have dry cleaning, you can't have, there's a lot of these usages that you can't have. You can have the school that we want to do here.
The city owns the property.
I understand.
So they,
Actually,
nothing could happen without
actually,
ARPA.
the BMU does not, I have to correct myself, BMU does not allow vocational use. That's why we're coming before the board as a conditional use for vocational use.
Right.
That's the next meeting.
But within CPUD, we can do what we need to do here anyway.
Right, but there are other requirements with CPUD, like 25% open space requirements. There's a lot of other requirements that's hard to meet
And so
with
that gets
the-
into my next issue, is I feel like we're changing zoning here to try to make this work.
We're
And like
changing.
the tree, I guess what I'm trying to say is, we hold developers' feet to the fire for like tree allowances and like impervious space. BMU allows more impervious space, so the drainage is going to be worse. Have we considered doing what we're trying to accomplish here with the CPUD? Is it impossible? And I'll stop interrupting you.
Well, our intention was to go back to straight zoning, because when we adopted the form-based code, we want to demonstrate how the straight zoning works, and you don't have to go through the PUD process. Straight zoning, the way we've developed it, it requires more architectural requirements. There are other things that you can actually get by doing straight zoning versus PUD process.
Or we're doing conditional use for the vocational.
Just for the vocational use, because it doesn't allow vocational use.
Right,
But
with
as
the
far
straight
as
zoning.
architecture, we're meeting all the requirements that we worked so hard to get approved through form-based code.
For me, I'll just say sort of, you know, with the board is, I would not feel comfortable going BMU here if I can achieve what I want to achieve with the CPUD, because this is a single-family home neighborhood. And I don't know if the people who live behind that street necessarily want to have a lot of this mixed-use, multifamily kind of stuff going on. I wouldn't next to my single-family home neighborhood. So that's kind of where I'm coming from, just generally.
Yeah, and I think we can easily meet that open space requirement if we do decide that, if that's a direction from the
I think the
board.
open space is exempt in the CRA.
I'm sorry?
The open space requirement of the PUD is exempt in the CRA.
Not in the PUD. But we'll check that, but I think we can meet that open space requirement. That was the only thing, but other than that,
The trees.
yeah, we are providing, actually, I wanted Kimberly Horn to present the site plan and some of the amenities that we're providing on the site, and there is a lot of amenities and open space, so I would like Kimberly Horn to
And
present
also,
that.
we were waiving parking, correct?
That's not.
That's for the next meeting.
Got it.
Right.
Commissioner,
Jody, are you done with your presentation?
no, Commissioner Collins, if I may
Yes,
just
Jody,
add a
thank
little
you.
bit to that.
Absolutely.
Since the project was approved in 1985 as a commercial planned unit development, which was a contract zoning at that time, we didn't have a code that says what was permitted. So the contract zone today only allows what's existing there today. So either we would have to bring it back as
Amend the PUD, basically?
you would have to bring it back as a plan unit. We would have to rezone the property no matter what. So
Right.
for consistency in the way the regulating plan showed, the BMU was the most appropriate zoning for this area because of the consistency with the site. If you notice that
With
if you
regard to the parcel next door, is that what
to
you're
the
saying?
parcel next door and to the
Right.
property along Martin Luther King Highway Boulevard, but it is more consistent.
Okay.
So that's why we chose business mixed use.
Do any commissioners have any other questions of Jody Penal? No? Seeing none, we'll move on to public comment.
Public, let's hear from the public.
So from what I gather from it, Jody,
He has one, you didn't hear him.
Okay.
we could amend the CPUD instead of changing it to BMU. So for future, it would make it easier for an applicant, whether it's Project Lift or someone in the future, they would go straight to the building department based off the BMU.
Yes, if you rezone the property to a business mixed use, you would approve the project if you went through the conditional use process. It would be approved for what the use is, what you're requesting, and the site plan. If there was a change of use and it wasn't consistent, you would still have to do a site plan amendment. It could either run administratively, as long as the use was within the business mixed use category.
And the conditional use is strictly for the vocational.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
Same thing, it would be the same consistent with a commercial plan unit development. Like I said, we were just being consistent with the regulating plan.
But if it's a BMU, as long as it's one of those uses that's consistent with BMU, which is everything, you can do everything in BMU. The only no is a 6-person or more group home.
Community group home.
Everything is allowed. So as long as you have an allowable use in any type of use, then you guys are going to say yes. And this is my issue is if something goes there, it can now be anything, where having that CPD locks in this usage. And then if we want to go through a new process, they're going to have to, if we want to make it apartments, it's going to have to go through a totally new.
Well, essentially, with your conditional use, you would have to come back to the board as well.
Right.
So if you went business mixed use or if you went commercial plan unit development, if you approve the vocational and the site plan that's adjacent, that's going to be part of the project, and they say they move to a different location because they're very successful, then
Right.
the next person would have to come back to the board to amend the conditional use or to the new use.
But you would just have to do a site plan amendment, and the conditional use wouldn't matter unless it was.
It's a land use for East Stewart.
Component to it too.
That's what I'm saying.
That's not,
is
CPUD
wide
doesn't.
We're changing it to BMU. Right. So again, I think a good point is within a CPUD, there's a very limited residential possibility here. It's not going to become an apartment complex, but if it's BMU, that applicant, right, could bang, as long as they go through you guys, correct?
That's correct,
Right.
Commissioner.
So if
We
I'm
can
a
look
single-family
at the-
home neighborhood, I want to try to really lock in and protect that that's going to be a school unless a whole new PUD happens. and that's going to be seen. There's no way that could happen administratively.
We can certainly look at the CPUD as well.
I'm sorry, who are you?
Hi, Christina Bell with Kimberly Horn. So Pinal,
okay.
I just mentioned that. We just wanted to show you kind of the plan that we've been working with closely with staff to incorporate some of those requirements to make sure that we were meeting the East Stewart code. You'll pull up the site plan, please. Oh, do I do it here?
I'm sorry, just a moment, please.
Yes.
Do we really want to hear this?
It's technically not, you're getting into the actual approval of the project,
But the
the
president's
project
wanna
is
hear
what's
that.
driving your zoning right now, which normally wouldn't be driving the zoning, but it is, because you're talking about Project Lift being the end use rather than a long-term end use.
But the change in what we're proposing for this specific item has, it could, either way, it could be the same use. So talking about the project is kind of irrelevant. It's, do we want to change it from
It's irrelevant or
CPUD?
relevant?
It's not relevant, because either way, you can do the same use. There's nothing that we're doing differently with this project under a PUD.
What I'm saying is the project doesn't drive the land designation.
Right.
But the project is driving the land designation, because you're saying that you could do the project under a CPUD.
Right.
So you're saying that the project is driving the land designation. The question is, does the commission want to address the land use on it? Right now, you have essentially an expired PUD that was
Right.
adopted in East Stewart before even any of the PUD regulations were done, because since the late 90s, you could only do a conditional use in the CRA area until, I think, 21, when we adopted the urban PUD to allow those PUDs. But this PUD is not a UPUD, it's a CPUD. But nonetheless, it's still there. It's just a non-conforming land use that was adopted in the 80s. And so to conform it, you could probably do an amendment to the PUD and make it a UPUD with limited uses.
Yes.
You could revert it back to the land use of whatever land use you deem appropriate.
We could update the
And-
CPUD though, right?
You
Technically,
could
we could.
amend it to a whatever PUD is appropriate
By
under
the
the
East
code.
Stewart here.
Here's my concern. I'm going to be completely transparent, all right? This is my neighbor, I live on this street. I might not be here in 2 years, okay? And this is a 5-year, it may get extended, but the term, this is a land acquisition where the city's going to get this land with a 5-year term on this grant. At the end of 5 years, if this is wide open and can be anything and it's BMU, and there's a new commission that all of a sudden wants to build apartments, that neighborhood and the houses that are behind there are not protected. That can be anything. Anything. And as a CPUD, it's going to be the school that we make it. And if we want to make it something else, we're going to have to go through a new CPUD. That's my hesitation with this. I'll stop.
The commission at that time could choose, because it's a property,
No,
we
it's
own
a
the property.
single-family home neighborhood.
But they could change the zoning as they see fit at that time.
And also, if it has a conditional use on it, the conditional use would have those restrictions as well. I mean, again, it's the pleasure of the board.
Right, so it's, you can't. Any other questions of Jody? I don't think we need to hear from you at this time. Thank you.
They want, the residents want to know.
The resident,
Okay. Yeah.
So the,
okay.
We may not be voting on it, but the residents want to know. And we need to be
Not
educated
on
too.
this. We're not voting on the
We're not
project.
voting, we're just learning about it.
So as mentioned, it's on Southeast Martin Luther King Boulevard.
We can't
and-
hear you, ma'am.
Oh, sorry. There is an existing access, currently vehicular access there that's proposed to be closed to make it more pedestrian friendly and to meet the street frontage requirements. The building has to be brought up to East Martin Luther King Boulevard, and so there's no really set back. It's actually a set 2 line. So as you can see, the building is parallel to Southeast Martin Luther King Boulevard with no vehicular access. There's a shared use path that's 11 foot with with lighting and shade oak trees that goes along the east side. You can see.
Excuse me, is your thing lit? Is your pointer lit? I don't see. where you're
Oh,
pointing.
there we go. Okay, sorry. So right here, this is the shared use path, and you can enter here and go all the way up to Martin Luther King Boulevard. As I stated, this is 11-foot path with shade oak trees aligned all the way along it with lighting as well. There's proposed right-of-way dedication along the purple area shown on all sides to provide for wider sidewalks with street trees as well for additional shade. There is, in this corner here, proposed 1,500 foot of green open space with bike racks and bench amenities for pedestrians and for the public.
Sorry.
Oh. The purple is right-of-way dedication that would go for future along southeast Martin Luther King Boulevard, the on-street parking. But again, that's a separate project. This is just dedicated in case, if it were to come in, it would be there and be readily available. There's a picture, this is a black and white exterior elevation photo. The architect is also here if we want to speak about that further. There's some renderings to just show what this would look like. Along here is the shared use path that I mentioned with the heavy shade oak trees that line it. This is, yes, this is MLK Boulevard down here. This is Tarpon Avenue here. And so there's a vehicular access here and here, which these are two existing access points that are to remain.
1 story?
1 story.
How tall?
I'll let the architect speak to that. I'm not sure.
It's 24 feet.
I'm Sarah Levy. I'm with the architects. It's 24 feet, 3 inches, give or take 24 feet.
Thank you.
I did also want to mention, as you can see, there is a lot of green space on this site. The existing site has approximately 25% pervious area, and we're doubling it to be 50% with this proposed plan.
What's the total square footage?
The building square footage? This is the street view looking from Martin Luther King Boulevard, so you can see it's pedestrian-friendly path. There's no vehicular access point along here. These are bay windows along the street that are fixed. They do not open and close. It meets all of the code requirements for the overlay district. Again, this is just another view. This is Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, and that's Tarpon. So you can see the shade trees with the path. Same thing along here, nice wide walking path with bicycle racks, and there's a bench over here and some other shared amenities. This is looking at it from interior to the site. If you were, once you're inside the site, not the street fronting view, still has awnings and shade trees in the islands. This is that shared use path again with awnings that cover path. And this is a dry detention area to meet the stormwater requirements with obviously shade oak trees planted here as well.
So you're gonna leave the wall?
Yes, the existing wall would remain. Again, this is that shared path, just to show the width of it. It is rather large, it's 11 feet, so it can be traversed with on a bicycle or a walking path. There's lighting as well.
Thank you, that's beautiful.
Jimmy Smith, public, what?
No, as if Jackie had a green card.
Good evening. Commissioner, my name is Jimmy Smith. I come tonight just to share my thoughts through the last presentations and stuff. There's a lot of people that's concerned and fighting, arguing. We have went through a rough time I mean, for the last, I've been in the NAACP for 22 years. I've been the president for 9 years, going on 9, vice president for 9. We've been trying to get something doing in East Stuart, and I commend you for what you're trying to get accomplished there. I know our community is concerned about housing. We have a lot of land that's not developed. We're fighting and trying to find ways to get family-owned properties that own the property to develop so we have more housing. We lost a lot of families from the area of Cherokee across the street from this project lift that we lost. I imagine probably, 60, 70 families that lived over there in Cherokee. We lost probably 60 or 70 families there at George Taylor voters, yes. When I say 6 or 7 family, there's probably 6 or 7 family members lived in a house. A lot of votes, I know. But what I'm just hoping that we go forward with something in East Stuart. I know the project lift is set in place. I'm supported to help our kids to be educated. I'm hoping that our park that we've been fighting for years to try to get done, the park there to Guy Davis Park, that all use for all people can utilize the park. We just need something so the community can feel hope. I know we fight back and forward. We have some disagree, do agree. I'm just praying and hoping today that you all will leave here, and I believe you will. We have a new commission. I want to commend you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Being out there and seeing you out there working hard. I'm hoping that all of you all can work with Mr. Mike Mattel and you get something done to show that, hey, we're here for the people and we work for the people, and I believe you will. So I want to say that with Project Lift, it's going to help kids, give them a chance, the opportunity to get a skill, to be able to earn a decent dollar. Basketball, football, and baseball ain't the only way you can make a career. It's 1 out of a million that makes that. But that's an opportunity, and I hold you strong that we will work in this community to make sure that the assets is properly used, benefit for the community. And so I look forward for it, and I believe you will, and I thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Charles Jones, now's your time.
He already took 2 minutes, so I don't know. He'll be good.
Hello again, commissioners. I get a second crack at the bat. I appreciate the comments that have been put before you, but I do want to say this personally. I mean, as we all have our opinions, there are a lot of rosy ideas and a lot of paint, let's say rose-tinted glasses that are being put forth about the vision of what should happen with the rezoning and what should be happening in the East Shore community. But when I look at the reality, the one thing I will say is this: there's not a lot of trust that's coming from the citizens or from the residents of East Stuart. And I speak on behalf of the citizens and the residents of East Stuart. The last meeting where we found out that the daycare center was going to be cut because of the new Boys and Girls Club, that while it sounds great in theory, it doesn't benefit us. It doesn't benefit our kids. It doesn't help us because now they have no place to go. And while, yes, they can go to the new center also has a long line of applicants waiting to get in to it. So how does that serve us by cutting what is currently available, what is currently helping? That doesn't help us. I appreciate the commissioners for speaking and saying, when you look at the future, where are we going to be in another 4 or 5 years if we're trying to really cap growth? And you heard me speak about growth earlier, but we want to be in the process. We want to have a voice in the process, not just have things dictated to us or get this rosy picture when the reality is far from that. You can see from your own eyes. I could tell you stories and other people's stories. We know how it works. So we are asking the commission or the commissioners to please table your vote. That's what we're asking until we want to be a part of that process. We want to work with you. We want to compromise, but we don't want things dictated to us. We also don't want things done where there isn't the transparency that should be as well. That's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. Slattery, Mike Slattery.
My name is Mike Slattery. I live at 2064 Southwest Pitt Stairs, Stuart, Florida. And I'm an employee of Project Lift, and I'm a fairly new employee. I've been there 7 months. But I can just give you testimony of what I've seen, how that Project Lift changes lives of young kids. And I think the future of Stuart and Martin County is the youth. And if we don't grab a hold of them now and let them go down the wrong path, we got to keep them on the right path and give them a little bit of guidance and a little bit of training to help them have a career and be good citizens for Martin County. So that's what we do, and like the gentleman said, he was glad to get a second crack at the bat. That's kind of what Project Lift does. It's giving these kids a second crack at the bat. And they're not all independently wealthy kids that have opportunities that everybody has, and this is a chance to give them an opportunity to set them on the right path.
Oop, okay, hold on. I missed it. Here they are. Thank you, Mr. Blair Wickstrom.
Hi, I'm Blair Wickstrom, 270 Southeast Cardinal Way. I know a lot of the the past commissioners, and I'm pleased to meet you as present commissioners in my sort of other world as a Rivers Coalition board member and president of Vote Water, and former publisher of Florida Sportsman Magazine. I've spent a lot of time trying to save our river. I kind of screwed up a perfectly good retirement about 8 months ago by taking a job with Bob, working 4 10-hour days a week in the non-air-conditioned wood shop that I'm a carpentry mentor now in the Project Lift. And so I'm seeing something that, again, I haven't really been part of before. I'm not a union carpentry guy, and I was a hobbyist. And so I had a chance, I felt, to make a difference. And Charles, I know you, Charles. Yeah, I have an affinity for East Stewart, too. And so I think there's something that, again, I can bring my experience that I've had in Palm City now for about 8 months. It's an incredible program. And hopefully I'll have a chance to do it in East Stewart. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Helen, I think this is a new record for you for one meeting.
Go get him, Helen.
Graham. Helen McBride, Flamingo Avenue. All right, we bought this land for $1.4 million. Are these gentlemen buying, or this uplift, is it buying the land, or is it another one of these 80 years at $1 a year? Are we renting the land out, or are we selling the land?
It's, the land was purchased with the CDBG grant money, 100%
Right,
of
I
it.
remember, I was here.
And that was required that we partner with a program that would provide the education for the children. So this is the partnership. It is a $1 lease to them, but the land comes back to the city when the partnership ends.
All right, then we voted in the Boys and Girls Club. Now, I went to their open house. They're going to teach our children mechanics, air conditioning, carpentry, art, catering, chefs, teach them how to be chefs and that.
That's
so we
correct.
got that. We were supposed to be putting in a training center. Now, this organization, Uplift, it's not just for our students here in Martin County. it's open to the whole state.
Well, the truth of it, so is Boys and Girls Club. The reality is the school systems are open to anybody as well. But Project Lift is going to take approximately 16 students at a time. The reason that they want to be in the location they're in is because even in Palm City, the kids that they have are coming from our area, and so they want to go to where the kids are, not make the kids come to them.
All right.
So, and I'll let them talk to it more, and that's the intention for the next meeting.
I just want to, I'm not prejudiced, but I just want to be sure it's our kids, because 51 years I've lived here, and I seen what happened when the kids from Fort Pierce came down into our little city and the problems we had. I just want to be sure, you know, for 51 years, I go to all the meetings on 10th Street and that. It's always, oh, it's for the kids in East Stewart, East Stewart, East Stewart. But you come down to it, nothing. Our kids aren't getting, we're just not getting it. You know, it's up to you people. You're much better educated than I am. It's the underdog. I don't mind paying taxes, but these are my kids. I watched them. From kindergarten, of course, they're growing up. Now I'm watching their grandchildren. I just want to be sure the kids in Stewart are taken care of. And I'm the taxpayer. $1.4 million was a lot of money. And $1 a year, the tuition's free then.
Yes.
It's all free. You know, they're not charging, especially the kids in Stewart. Okay, it's Mom. Hey, he rang the bell.
I need to give Mike.
And that $1 we get is pure profit. Because we didn't cost us anything. Wow, okay. Mr. James Christie. Mr. Christie, this is I think the fourth time I've heard you speak on this issue, and I know you care a great deal about it.
Yes, I do.
Appreciate your input.
All right. You guys got an earful tonight, didn't you? Gonna get a little bit more. Okay, first of all, it's wrong for the city to take money that was designated for the East Stewart area to combat blight, to combat economic recession, and take it and do what you want to with it. Okay, that's first. When I looked at news reports, I looked at city meeting minutes, I heard that what was said in the community, and I heard even before vocational trainers, and I heard business incubator. I heard the mayor on PTV talk about economic injustice. You heard all of these things associated with that site, but now the only thing we have is a vocational school. If you wanted to start economic engine, would you put that downtown? Would you put a vocational school downtown now? I talked with Bob, and I know Bob, he's a good guy. And it's not directed toward him, it's directed toward the city. You would never do it. They would never allow a vocational school downtown. I know, you know, everybody knows. For an economic engine, you need businesses. And if you can't do that through a co-op or anything, you need a business incubator, something that a licensed kitchen that will start economic revival. But we feel that the city of Stuart is exploiting East Stewart. And that thing with those children at the rec center, oh, we got a big, beautiful Boys and Girls Club about 3 stories high. But what you guys failed to tell us that our kids were gonna be displaced. Those girls in there, I was at that meeting and I was feeling so bad because those are youth in our community that need to stay here and build that economic engine we're talking about. They were so discouraged, they said they're getting up out of here. And I sometimes feel that Martin County as well as Stuart is a gentrification city, trying to get all us out of here. That's what those children felt. They didn't want to go over there. A few things about this notification stuff. The spirit of notification not the legal, not, oh, we just check the box. We talked to the public. We talked to East Stewart. We're at one meeting. You guys couldn't even address the zoning changes up here without confusing everybody. One meeting for the community, and now you're doing that. We just want economic justice. We want input. We want the city to halt all these projects and let us get some true input. That's what we need.
Thank you, Mr. Christie. I think this says Frank McChrystal. The only person who has worse handwriting than you is me.
I resemble it, Mark. This isn't about.
Could you introduce yourself?
My
and
name
address,
is.
please?
Yeah, I thought you did. Frank McChrystal, City of Stuart. This isn't about how great a Operation Project Lift is and what great things it does for the kids. Not many of them, though, really. The numbers are low. It really is about what I've been hearing for years and years is the people of East Stuart really don't feel like they have a real voice as to what's happening there. And I think they deserve that. I think they deserve not a full voice, but at least a partial voice. And again, things kind of happen and they, it's like you'd rather ask for forgiveness than, I forget how the saying goes now, but you'd rather just get it done, ask for forgiveness later than ask for permission. So yeah, it's not about how great Project Lift is. It's just about, do the people of East Stuart really have a voice as to what's going on in their own neighborhood? Thank you.
Ann Christie could you introduce yourself and your address, please, Ms.
Yes,
Christie?
good evening, Ann Christie. I am a property owner here in East Stewart at 815 Nassau. So I thank you, first of all, for it's late in the evening for you taking the time out to hear the citizens here. So what we're attempting to do is to stop gentrification in East Stewart. If we do not take a stand on gentrification, we will continue to be an accelerated place. We want to build wealth for the historic citizens of East Stewart, and we need to spur our citizens to dream and grow opportunities to increase our wealth through businesses, stocks, real estate, and investments, etc. We want to preserve a safe, enjoyable space in East Stewart that prioritizes the interests, need to have its own plans and mechanisms in place to protect our families, loved ones, and also have a plan for natural disasters such as hurricanes, fires, and etc. Yes, I was reading that because, I can go off on my own tangent. So long story short, there's a lot that can be done with that Willie Gary property. Like I said, I'm a property owner here and have seen that property when it was functioning with the store and the gas station. A laundromat. There were things that were there. Do I want to see the youth have opportunities? Absolutely. The Boys and Girls Club offers that up until the age of 22. Okay, so there's a lot already in the area that's designed to help our youth. We just need to give them an opportunity to get in. So that's all I have to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ms. Christie. Rudolph Jameson, is that correct? Okay, good.
Congratulations on you guys being elected. I was born and raised here in Stuart, and the projects that you have are great. But just like Jamie said, but our kids, when you build them, will our kids be here to enjoy them? I hear now we have this East Stewart, we're gonna be historic. That's great for those that can afford to stay here. What about the ones when the tax money goes up, you're gonna be moving people out. You're not gonna be helping the community. It's not gonna look like the East Stewart I grew up in. If you look now, you see there are people that are in Stuart I've never seen before. But they're there now, which is fine. which is fine, but I mean, we need to keep our people in East Stewart. It is our community. I mean, it was a time when you guys wouldn't even come in East Stewart, but now you want East Stewart. You know what I mean? Now you pretty much want to take it, but you use different words. You know, it used to be eminent domain, now historic. You know what I mean? So all that sounds great. And this new project that we're building like that, new Boys and Girls Club. I'm gonna give you an example, the YMCA that we have. Our black kids don't go there because they're not welcome there. And I'm just keeping it real. Even though we have some wonderful kids, not all of them are good, but we have some wonderful kids in our neighborhood. I grew up in that neighborhood. My children, my grandchildren grew up in that neighborhood. And it's like you guys are trying to take it from us. When you can just come in and, you know, God tells us to come to love our neighbors, to treat each other the way we want to be treated. So if I love you and I love my child, I'm going to treat you just like my child. I'm going to show you the respect and the love that I'm going to show my children. I'm not going to push you to the side because you're poor. Because God said we're going to always be surrounded by poor. They will always be present. Now what we're going to do is what we're going to do for them. Are we going to just turn and say, because I'm going to tell you, if you know anything about life, you're not going to let your child starve. I don't care. You're going to do whatever you got to do to feed your family. You're going to do whatever you got to do to feed your... If I'm knocking on your door and I see all this food in here and I'm being nice, I'm knocking. Please let me in. Let me get something to eat. You ignore me. I'm knocking hard. I'm trying to get loud. I'm singing songs. Please let me in. You ignore me. You think I'm going to keep knocking? Now I'm trying to pick the lock. Because that's where the food is. You guys better get it together, man. We got a wonderful city here. And the problem is a lot of you are not from this city. You're not from here. You don't know how wonderful it is. But how you say, the cat is out the bag. They know how beautiful Stuart is, and everybody wants to come here. I got one question, though. All the developers that came in here, don't they have to come to you guys before they can build in here? So I'm going to say this. You know how we're citizens of Florida and we go to Disney World? We get a discount to go to Disney World just by being special, being a Florida citizen. So why couldn't we make these developers allocate one building for the citizens of Stuart? You can charge all these outsiders what you want, but we're going to allocate these buildings for the citizens of Stuart, the people that are born and raised here. I live right now, two of my, and they've been my neighbors for 10 years. Well, they're gone now. The landlord went up $1,000 on their rent. He's charging these people $2,500 for a 1-2-bedroom apartment. And then the new apartments you guys got out here, they're asking $3,000. And you're not paying. What's your salary?
Thank you, Mr. Gore.
What's your salary? Over $100 grand? Well, I can guarantee you a lot of people in these stores ain't making no $100 grand.
Thank you, Mr. Gore. Vic Miller, Mr. Miller.
Vicus Miller.
Could you give us your address, please, Mr. Miller?
2165 Morningside Boulevard. I live in Port St. Lucie now, but I'm born and raised in long time resident of Martin County. And actually, I'm here to address the people of East Stewart.
Mr. Miller, you have to address the commission.
Okay.
They can hear you, though.
I definitely understand, what's going on, and I agree. Rudolph, I agree. Mr. Christie, Charles, I agree. East Stewart definitely deserves more. And I keep hearing, vocational. Project Lift is not a vocational school, but we do use vocation to replace negative behavior. We are a mental health facility to help, our young people deal with the trauma that most young people who look like me don't even know they're dealing with trauma. 30% of high school graduates, that's the number that's going to college. So that means 70% are not. So what are these young people going to do? 70% of high school graduates are not going to college. So that's what we're here to do with mental health facility to help our young people in East Stewart to not, deal with their substance abuse, deal with their traumas, deal with behaviors, so they can obtain a job if they don't go to college. It's easy to get a job, but to keep that job, you got to be mentally stable. 80% of job loss is due to some form of mental health. And I just thank Project Lift personally for giving me an opportunity. To those who know me and know my background, opportunity only knocks maybe once, maybe twice, and that's it. And if you don't seize that opportunity or have somebody like me that our young people in East Stewart can look and see, you know, to deal with, been there, done that, to help them go through. But me, I can personally say I'm here for East Stewart, the young people in East Stewart. I can't say what Boys and Girls Club are doing, but I know for a fact what Project Lift is doing, the impact. And what we do, we pay our young people a stipend to alleviate that generational poverty, you know, to get them used to getting a paycheck. We teaching them soft skills, how to open banking accounts, get their driver license, birth certificate, to set them up for success. So we are here to help and not to hurt.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Thank you.
I believe it's Mr. Zacchio, is it?
Mr. Mayor, Mrs. Zacchio, when you speak, can you define young people?
Sure.
That
Sure.
age range?
Yeah, no problem. And you know my history. You know how much I love my community and how much this place means to me. We work with 14 and 19-year-olds through several of our programs, so 8 o'clock in the morning it starts. This is not a Boys and Girls Club, so please do not confuse this. Like this is a real work environment that trains real work opportunities and gets people clear-minded decision-making. I talked with Mr. Christie a little bit earlier, and you know the industry incubators and those things, they're right on the money. Like let's teach entrepreneurship. I'm heading up to Brevard County here next week to go visit an incubator up there to really get some good ideas of how to do that, because I'm hearing it. Like I'm hearing, hey, this is the need, this is where we're at. I think as a community and as an organization frankly, I always put mental health first, right? You know, I'm a licensed psychotherapist. That's how we started Project Lift. That's how it all works. But that first shift is they're rising 17-year-olds to 25 years old, right? We're really expanding that horizon. So 8 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. is the first shift. 2:30 p.m. to 6:30 is the second shift. 5:30 to 10:30 is the third shift. All paid opportunities for teens and young adults to be working. They're all paid at over $15 an hour for the work that they're doing. The money that's generating and teaching them how to work is one thing. And Vic touched on it, maybe one of the other speakers talked on it too, is they don't even know how to take a paycheck when they walk in our door. They don't know how to take a paycheck, right? And that is the most interesting part to me is, you know what our kids do? And Vic and I talk about this all the time. We've been working together for 7 years, going on 8 years on this project, and everything that we do looks a lot like him or I. This is how it all works. You know what they do? They walk in on their first paycheck. They walk in their first paycheck and they slide it on the table and they go, Mr. Bob, someone's stealing from me. Someone's stealing from me. This person named Suda, this person named FICA, they're taking my money. It's the truth. That's what they do. And then we walk in. They're stealing from me. And then I go, you know what? No, this is where it's at. Or Vic does it, or one of our staff members, and they go, no, that's not who that is. Let me tell you what that is, right? And let me tell you how this all works. And then they learn to do those things. And I had one of the other speakers say, do they pay to be there? I have never, ever charged a person to come into Project Lift, ever. And I never will. I never will, ever. I raise that money for all the operational support to be poured into our community. I grew up there. I said to Vic, I whispered to him, he said, someone said they spent their whole life in East Stewart. I did too. That's why I care so much. All right, I love you guys. I appreciate everybody here and all that you guys do. And this staff has worked tremendously hard to get this to where it is, so I appreciate them as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zacchio. Okay, but the issue before us is the zoning change, so By the way,
Motion for number 2532-2024 to be moved forward to the next agenda as published.
there's a motion. Is there a second? He did fill out one?
Oh,
I don't see it. I'm sorry. Okay.
I turned in everything I had, so I'm not sure.
Do you want to speak, Mr. Wilson? Okay, just,
Jackie Gore,
Jackie Gore spoke.
no.
No? Okay, sorry.
That's Jackie.
Okay, go ahead.
How everyone doing? How everybody doing today? Hi, everybody. I want to say congratulations to the new people. My name is Jimmy Wilson. I'm from Stuart, and I'm born and raised here all my life, and I'm one of the ones that deals with the youth. I'm the only person from East Stuart that has volunteered for the past 25 years with the youth and all nonprofit organizations in East Stuart. Nobody has done it longer than me, and I'm still doing it now. I mostly dealt with teenagers, but I realized we had to start young, so now I'm dealing with 9-year-olds. So I'm starting from that area, and I've talked to Mr. Vickers about what he was saying, and by me dealing with the youth, mostly the black males of East Stuart, as usually, because I deal with ones who don't have fathers. We try to get the fathers when they get out to get back with the kids, and we give them certain type of things so he can get back with his family and get back with his kids and be in his kids' life. I mostly deal with the guys or the males or the kids, the boys. And when I talked to Mr. Vickers, he told me some of the things, and like he said, the mental part, a lot of things we don't even talk about or think about as far as when parents talk to their kids or deal with the kids in our community. None of that is talked about. It's something like it's almost embarrassed to talk about. And when Project Lift comes to your community, and that is one thing they're going to do, bring that out and make it where you could sit down at the table and be comfortable to talk to your kids, I'm 100% behind. And also, all the things that they're bringing to this community, as far as me dealing with the youth, I'm 100% behind it. And like a lot of you guys who are older, when we was young, we can get 2 things and build a go-kart. These kids these days, you ask them to build something, they'll look at you like, huh? And when they told me Project Lift will come, all I thought about those kids in the community able to bring that back. I mean, we have to teach them now. Before, we learned it on our own. But that's the way times have changed. And since time have changed to that, Project Lift comes here and help us to basically go with the time. And I really appreciate that from what I do and what I've done for the past 25 years, and I always work with nonprofit organizations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gore.
Yeah, Jack, Mr. Gore, thank you for
Hello, everybody.
persevering.
Mr. Wilson, sorry.
This is Jackie Gore.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm kidding, Mr. Wilson.
Mr. Wilson
I
just
just asked you.
spoke.
Go
Hi.
ahead.
Don't
Please
stop.
introduce yourself.
Now you start. Hi, my name is Jackie Gore. I live at 410 Southeast Lake Street, which is a second home. Through with my husband and I own several properties in the church in East Stuart. I would like to see us get more information. I happened to just find out this information through the grapevine. I was like, this is not good. The information is not getting out in East Stuart, I'm telling you. Usually when they come and throw something at our church, I make sure all the churches get it so they can announce it, because most of the people are there on Sunday mornings. But for Project Lift, make no mistake, I don't bite my tongue, amen. I'm for Project Lift, and I like to see more than 16, put another building up. Oh, you said 60, I thought you said 20.
Yeah, 60.
Okay, we can do that, all right. Okay. Yeah, you can do better. We can do better. And like I said, I'm for it, and I know how it is. And with AI coming, a lot of our kids don't know computers. So a trade will be good, because, my husband, we had a Cub Scout one time in East Stuart, and but he got sick and, been going through a lot of things. And And he let someone got on a riding lawnmower. And this was an adult, and this person was riding his lawnmower. And my husband stood there and he said, Lord, have mercy. And he said, he thought he was mowing the yard, but he didn't even put the blade down. And that's how these kids are not trained. They don't know anything because most of their parents are locked up. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm for it. Y'all can call on me anytime if you need some extra help, volunteer help, whatever it takes. I'm for it. So you saying 60 instead of 16, I'm all right with that now. God bless.
You better be careful when you say to Bob, you can call on me, because
Clam bake.
anybody else? Can we go back to Commissioner
Mr.
Clark's
Mayor,
motion?
Ordinance number 2532, 2024. Move for a vote at this time.
Is there a second?
It will still move forward until, if we
No.
don't have a vote, it will still move forward. All right, so nobody
Absent a
wants,
second, no vote will be taken.
so we'll just go forward to the next hearing.
Yeah, it'll just move forward.
It's met the legal standard that it has been read for a public meeting, so it'll come back on September 9th for the balance of the hearing.
I want to thank you all for making it so easy for my first meeting as mayor. But absent any other items, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.